He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Monday, March 30th, 2026. If you are of a certain age, what I'm about to say is likely going to resonate with you, and it will remind you of your younger years. If you were a latchkey kid, and a lot of us were, meaning your parents were at work when you got home from school, or even as we got a little bit older and got into our teenage years, those of us who are members of Generation X, not imagine some millennials, probably grew up as latchkey kids. You had significant amounts of time in which you were unsupervised. And maybe you made the most of that time. Maybe you were productive with that time. But there were large amounts of time and days and weekends where there were no adults around, or at least no parents. And we would do all sorts of things with essentially no supervision. And I suppose that can be good or bad with no guidance around for the teens. It would force us to make our own decisions. And then if you made a bad decision, you found out about the consequences. And then you learned from there. Nowadays, it seems a little bit different. Now, of course, there are parents that are in the workforce, but it also seems that more young people are growing up without two parents in the home. And so the latchkey phenomenon, it still exists, right? Because the mother or the single father who might be raising these children, you can't supervise them all of the time, especially if you have to work multiple jobs to make ends meet, and that's very, very common. I think one of the fundamental differences is, and we got to sort this out today because we saw a collection of, I'm going to call them young people, I'm assuming most of them were teenagers, that gathered at a shopping mall, Bayshore. Even though Bayshore is not really a mall per se, it's more like outdoor stores with individual parking. There is still a mall component to it, but most of the people that go to Bayshore, you can park directly in front of the store that you want to visit. You go in the store, and maybe you walk to another store or drive to another store. It's a very unusual concept. It's more of a California mall concept. Southridge, Brookfield Square, Mayfair are more traditional malls. Bayshore offers a lot more open air space. And there's a big, like a promenade, there's like a big courtyard there and a very grassy area. So it does offer like a park-like feel and a natural gathering place for people. They do different events at the Bayshore Mall in the grassy area there. They have live music in the summertime and in the warm weather months. It's actually pretty decent, but it doesn't exactly encourage shopping. At least I don't think it does. It encourages just getting together, gathering, and hanging out. It kind of builds a sense of community in an odd way. But a part of the experience that we had as young people, those of us Generation X and those slightly younger, is we went to shopping malls all of the time. It is where you spent your weekend. Maybe you went to a movie, maybe you didn't. Maybe you got something to eat, maybe you didn't. It's where you met up with your friends. It's where you socialized. It's where you met new people. And we could be there essentially from mall open until mall closed. Yeah, there was some security, but you didn't really notice them. There would be maybe 2 or 3 security guards for an entire mall, and you would walk past them. They would walk past you. And there was no big deal. They didn't ask us who we were here with. They didn't ask us if we were being supervised. It was just a gathering place for young people to go. And again, we were mostly unsupervised because our parents were working. It seems with this current generation, the supervision or lack thereof is on the internet. And I say that because... And I believe if you go to our YouTube page, go to youtube.com, or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, you will see an image of the flyer that was shared via Instagram that encouraged the young people to join what they call a takeover. Now, a takeover sounds hostile, and I have some questions with the wording that they use, but essentially, it's a bunch of young people getting together at the mall. No different than we did. Here's the problem. The lack of supervision that we had, I think there was a different level of responsibility because we knew whether it was explained to us or it was implicit or through trial and error, and us as a Generation X saw the consequences of when we acted inappropriately, we would lose some of the privileges. And the worst thing for us at the time was supervision. We just didn't want adults around because they ruin the party. They're too strict. They'll see behaviors that they don't like. They'll come in and they'll intervene. But a generation ago, we respected that, but we didn't like it. So we wanted to do things and get together with our friends and have a good time with no adults around. Somebody's parents would be out of town. We'd have a party. We made sure the house was clean. So when the parents came back into town, they were none the wiser, because if the parents knew that there was a party or if there was something that was damaged, then those parents wouldn't go out of town anymore. Do you see where I'm getting at? We didn't want supervision, but we did things that would not ultimately bring it. We also had this ability, I'll be honest with you, when I hear about these takeovers, I'm not one of those people that says, let me stop what I am doing and go to the mall takeover that was advertised on Instagram so I can be there supervising these kids. If it's not my child, I am not going, and you cannot and should not expect me to do so. Let me tell you why, because these kids barely respect adult authority. Now, there are some folks in our community, God bless them, that have put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of work to gain trust and respect of these young people, but that takes a really long time. So for those of us that might be concerned and might want to lend our time to making sure that these teen takeovers don't go violent, and the one at Bayshore absolutely did. If you go to the Hughes Views Facebook group, a number of fights, at least 4 that were captured on video. We've posted the video in the Facebook group. I won't post the video here on YouTube because I just don't want that image to be promoted. You guys can go and find the fight videos on your own. But one thing that we did, this is a big contrast between this current generation that are unsupervised on the internet. Like, no parent is checking their kid's Instagram account to see if they are participating in, if they're liking, they're sharing this mall takeover event. Now, there's some other details I want to get into, and I'm going to give you the story of what took place at Bayshore Mall over the weekend if you happen to have your head under a rock. Or maybe you were at a No Kings protest, because there were several thousand of those around the country. But if you missed what happened at Bayshore Mall, there was a flyer that was circulating around social media, on Instagram specifically, for a teen mall takeover. We posted the flyer on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device, search 1017 The Truth, and hit subscribe. And you can see the flyer that was shared. And it's interesting because it's an AI flyer. But the people that they depict, the teenagers they depict on the mall teen takeover flyer, are not the kids that were there. Bayshore is private property, but it's deceiving because it's open to the public. And they have this large courtyard there, and they have a lot of open space, and it's very walkable. You have individual stores, and you have parking in front of the individual stores. It encourages people to come together and to congregate and to gather. And the teens certainly took advantage of that opportunity, but they took advantage of the opportunity not to hang out and to socialize and to get to know people who might be teens that attend a different school. They went there to, it seems like, sow chaos and mayhem. And the big difference is, if young people want to have these kinds of opportunities where they can get together and gather, because we want the kids to do stuff. We want them to hang out, and we like seeing that as adults because we used to hang out and have a good time. All we used to want to do was just talk to girls and look at butts. That's it. And get phone numbers. Look at butts. Maybe touch a butt. I don't know. It depends. Do you have permission? Maybe you get permission, you can touch a butt. If you go to the mall and you meet a girl and you touch her butt, that was a good day at the mall. That's all we want to do. We want to fight anybody because we knew if we fought, we would no longer be welcome at the mall. So if we knew that there were two groups of people that were beefing and arguing, we, the larger group of people that want to enjoy the freedom of unsupervision, would break the fight up, or we would keep those separate groups apart, because the last thing we wanted was the police to come, because we knew we would all get punished. That is devoid in this era. In this current era, they encourage the fighting. They want to record the fighting. They want to post all of the fighting. We didn't want the fighting because we knew that it would ruin the privileges that we have. And so now we got to be heavy-handed. Now, the other thing is this. Earlier I said that Bayshore is private property, and it is. Now, it's open to the public, but it is private property, and private property has rules. Mayfair Mall also has rules. If you are a teenage person, I think Mayfair, unless they changed it, if you are 15 or younger, it might be 17 or younger, I don't know, they keep moving the goalposts, you cannot be there without an adult. You have to be under the supervision of an adult, because it's a lot easier to hold the adult responsible, the custodian, the parent, or the guardian, than it is the young person. Not a whole heck of a lot you can do with the young person. You can maybe give them a ticket that they're never going to pay. But if there is an adult there, and an adult is supervising a young person or a teenager, and there's some violence, brutality, or if there's a fight, that adult can face felony charges. They will be taken to jail. Where with kids, it's kind of a gray area. Now, they're going to be arrested and booked as well, but it's not exactly the same. So Mayfair Mall implemented, this was over 10 years ago, they put this policy together where if you are a teenager, you must be supervised. Because I don't know if you guys remember some of those early videos from the 2010s. These kids would fight in stores, knocking over displays and racks of clothing. It was ridiculous. And guess whose kids it is? It was our kids. So they put in some rules. And they can do that because they're private property. Now, here's my perspective on this. We're going to take a break, come back. But I want to give you this perspective before we dig into the meat and potatoes of the story. As an adult, as a parent, as a guardian, whatever, if you are dropping a young person off at a mall, whether it be Mayfair or Bayshore, in this case, the teen takeover was at Bayshore, and you know, or you should know, that young person has to be supervised, and you are dropping them off and then leaving the premises, meaning you are not staying with the child that you drop off, as a parent or a guardian or a custodian, you too are liable. So here's what we don't get to say, and we use this very commonly, and I wish people would stop using this excuse. That's why I try and provide as much information about the law and the rules as I possibly can, because we are the first ones to say, oh, I didn't know that that was a law. Oh, I didn't know that that was a rule. And those of you that have used that excuse, I wish you would be much more vocal. Those of you that have used that as an excuse when you do something that is illegal and you didn't know that it was illegal, you say, oh, I didn't know that that was illegal. I had no idea. The police will tell you. If the police don't tell you, then a judge will tell you. If a policeman and a judge don't tell you, your lawyer will tell you. Ignorance is no excuse for the law. Because you did not know it was illegal does not mean that the law excuses you. Do you know how insane that is? Somebody can commit an armed robbery and say, well, I didn't know that it was illegal to take property with a gun. And do you think the law is going to be like, oh, well, you didn't know? Well, you're fine. Go home. Here, let's take these cuffs off of you. I bet they're tight on your wrists. If you are bringing a young person to a place, to a space where they are required per the policy of that private property to be under the supervision of an adult, of a guardian, of a custodian, and you drop them off, you are liable. I'm going to take a break, come back. Let's talk about the takeovers that took place over the weekend, including No Kings protests. And I've got a very interesting take on those as well, so make sure you stick around and stay tuned. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship, because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
As the White House threatens to take over state elections, restrict abortion nationwide, and take away our health care, the Wisconsin Supreme Court is the last line of defense for our rights. That's why the Supreme Court election on April 7th is so critical. The ACLU does not endorse or oppose candidates, but wants you to make an informed decision. When it comes to abortion rights, Maria Lazar supported overturning Roe v. Wade and is endorsed by groups that want to ban abortion. Chris Taylor voted against abortion bans and defended abortion rights while working with Planned Parenthood. And on the issue of voting rights in Wisconsin, Maria Lazar defended efforts to rig elections for one political party through extreme gerrymandering of congressional and legislative districts. Chris Taylor opposes rigging the system with extreme partisan gerrymandering. On April 7th, stand up for our rights. Paid for by American Civil Liberties Union, Incorporated.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
We have a question. You know, we always ask you a question via YouTube in the form of a YouTube poll. Now, let's think more broadly, because we do want young people to have things to do. They got to do something. They got to get out of the house and explore the world and interact with other people instead of just sitting at home and playing on the video games, you see. Are mall policies too strict? Here's the other thing. Sometimes the adult, the custodian, the guardian, the parent, they don't have time. They can't be with their teenager. They can't. They can't go to the mall with them because the adult has got stuff to do. And sometimes they take the opportunity to get things done and a run around and go shopping and do all of the errands when the teen is otherwise occupied somewhere else, you see. Do we think that the policy that requires, because more adults should be held liable if you are dropping a teenager off at a mall that requires, per their policy, adult supervision. And if you know that, and even if you don't know, you're supposed to know. You're dropping your teen off, they cause a disturbance, the teen gets in trouble, they get arrested, they get a ticket, and then there should be an inquiry. Well, who is the parent? Who's coming to pick this kid up from the Wauwatosa police station in the case of Mayfair, or from the Glendale police station in the case of Bayshore? That parent needs to be informed of the policy. They violated it because they willingly dropped off a child, at a place that requires that adult that dropped them off to be there with them. Because guess what? If these kids had their parents there or the custodian or the guardian, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. Now, some of it still would. It would. And then we have to get into these larger conversations that involve, well, what kind of programming do we need to have? And I did hear my friend Vaughn Mays this morning, who was probably one of the most respected youth advocates and organizers of community in the entire city. And he has the ideas of what will work, and it'll cost money. Now, the question is, what are we going to take money from in order to invest in programs that we know can keep teens orderly, active, engaged, and also reinforce discipline? We can have those things, and there is a formula for what works, but money is, in this case, it's not fungible. We have to take money away from something. We got to take money from maybe reckless driving enforcement, or we have to take money from snow removal or garbage pickup. Some other service will suffer, just like with your household budget. If you all of a sudden get hit with a repair bill for your vehicle, now you know how much money you make, you know what your rent is, your mortgage and your bills and your grocery money and your food money and your money for utilities, and boom, you have, I don't know, $792 left over after you pay all of the things. But then you get hit with a repair bill for the vehicle that's $892. You're $100 in the hole. What are you not going to pay? You have to not pay something in order to satisfy this new bill that you got because you need tires on the vehicle or you need new brake pads. When it comes to investing in youth programming, it operates the same way. And the other thing is, we're already taxed to the max. Our sales taxes have gone up in the city of Milwaukee 2.2%. A lot of you that own homes, even some of you that rent, you have seen your property tax bill go up. If you own a home, you have seen your rent go up. Your rent is going up just because the landlords can, because we have no rent caps in the city of Milwaukee. So we're already being squeezed to the max. And then we've got to tell folks, hey, people that are already squeezed to the max, you know, with the increase of our sales tax to just under 8% and the increase in your rent just because the landlord can do it, and the increase in your property taxes because, you know, MPS. We need more money from you because kids. So it's not as easy as, oh, we'll just invest in this, more boys and girls clubs or more after school. I don't know what it is. I really don't know, nor do I profess to know. My conversations are oftentimes with adults, and then I'm hoping those adults take the information I share with them and they use that to better inform their kids. But sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect here. But if we are to come up with, and don't we do this every year? We have an incident of violence, which as the weather gets warmer, don't worry, they will be much more frequent. And we always say, we got to do something about this. We sound like a broken record. And we know it's coming every single year, summer after summer. And this summer is going to be one of the worst we have ever seen. Hell, the winter was one of the worst I've ever seen. Usually the shooting and the fighting and the violence and all of the things, it takes a vacation in the wintertime because it's too cold to shoot somebody in the face in the winter. It's very cold. It's chilly. Oh, I'll wait till it gets warmer before I commit my homicide. I don't want to have to bundle up. It's too cold. But we had a very violent winter, and I think that is a precursor for the summer, and we're just going to be banging our heads against the wall. Here's the thing. Nobody wants to invest in black children. We just have to have an understanding of that. I know we don't like it. I know that's a mean thing to say, but it is the concrete reality. Nobody wants to. And when we do things that it appears that we're investing in black children specifically, and I say that because if I look at their educational attainment, they are doing the worst, and then therefore they would require the most investment. So if there is, let's say, a referendum to ask for more money for the schools, but we say, well, look how bad the black kids are doing, we need much more money. That money doesn't even go to the poor performing black kids. Their poor performance is just used as a reason to ask you for the money, to gouge your property taxes, so that the people that work with black kids can get battle pay, because they don't want to work with them either. They say a teacher who leaves the profession within the first 7 years, if they teach in a public school specifically, never go back to teaching. Now, unless they change the rule, and they change the rules all the time, and they don't always update Sherwin on the rule changes, so I got to go do a bunch of digging. You only have to be in the classroom for 2 years before you can apply to be an MPS employee out of the classroom. And there's so many out of the classroom employees that Brenda Casilius is like, we're going to cut 240 of these positions, because a lot of those are people that did their 2 years of war. They did their deployments, I'm going to call them, their tours of duty in the MPS classroom, did their 2 years, and got out as immediately as possible. And you can go be an administrator making $100,000 a year. But I don't blame them. And then that person making $100,000 a year who's sitting in an office somewhere, maybe they come to work, maybe they don't, who knows? Because they're not in the classroom anymore, and they're making six figures. They got a fantastic pension if they want to go back to school to get a master's degree or a PhD. The district will pay for that too. Remember, they did their 2 tours of duty in the classroom. They're 2 years, and they can apply to be a principal, an administrator, or some other high-level office person. And then when there's a referendum that comes around, the money that we think is going to be invested directly in the schools, first thing they did with that $87 million referendum they got during the pandemic is they all paid themselves, which is fine. Okay, I'm not saying that they shouldn't get paid, but if you're going to use the poor black student performance, because we know what poor black student performance translates into, more violence in our community, because something you're going to find that a lot of people that are incarcerated have in common, they can't read, they can't do math, they don't have a high school diploma, they rarely have a GED. So poor performance in high school that is the pipeline to prison. And we know that. And so when they say, oh, we need more money and we're going to make the kids read more, we always open up our wallets. But now people are squeezed so thin, and like the gig is up now because the performance is not increasing. But if they can show poor performance, especially of one racial group, that's always the excuse to be able to ask for more money, because they're always going to say that money is the problem. In fact, the union, the teachers union, only exists to get more money for their union, for their union members. That's it. It's not because the kids aren't members of the union. Unions represent their members. And think about this, if the members of the union hate the kids, and I don't know why some of y'all think because they are teachers, they actually love our kids. They don't, and they have a lot of control over them. They can kick them out of school. They can suspend them. They can expel them. They can call the police on them. It is not always about getting these children to excel academically. It's about giving them a level of discipline that they clearly are not getting at home. And so our YouTube question is, do you think mall policies are too strict? Because here's the thing. If 1,000 kids congregate at a mall, and let's say there's 5 fights, that might only be 10 kids. That is, 1%? No, that's 0.1%. So if 10 kids are fighting, 1% of the kids, that's not bad. Should we have policies that punish all those other kids that are there, I don't know, following and spectating? Because right now, we in the city of Milwaukee are not paying any extra money for the place and the space of, say, a Bayshore Mall to be able to allow children from all over to congregate. But then I kind of feel for the people in Glendale. Let me tell you why. Someone may have moved to Glendale where it's a little more expensive. Now, it depends on some parts of Glendale, different areas. Some parts of Glendale look worse than Milwaukee. Some parts of Glendale are like, woof, why would you choose this area? But then there's other parts that are very nice, especially in the neighborhoods that are east of the Bayshore Mall complex. And maybe you moved out there to get away from the poor cultural exhibitions in the city. And I don't blame you for that. In fact, if you have the money, go. Go. Wish I could help you, but I can't. If you want to have better opportunities for yourself, for your children, better schools, and a safer neighborhood, go to that place. But imagine you are someone that went. You left the city of Milwaukee. You wanted your child to go to Whitefish Bay High School, Dominican High School, some of those North Shore schools that are very high performing. And then you have the element and the culture that you moved away from. And this is not racist. We got to stop calling everything racist when people want to get away from the bad behaviors of certain groups of people. Because if it was white kids, you want to move away from that. Some people, white folks moved out of West Allis because them toothless white kids, they're troublemakers too now. I say they're toothless just because they don't go to the dentist. You know what I mean? Because dental coverage is not offered with Medicaid. So it's not about race, it's about the behavior. And what we do is we shut down the conversation. Well, no, that's racist. You can't, protect people that don't want to be around black kids. There are people that don't want to be around unruly behavior because all it takes is one of those kids to have a gun. And I'm sure somebody was armed. It's just nobody got shot on Sunday. That's all it was. Just nobody got shot that day. But if it happens again, then what? Is that racist too? Let's have a conversation about it. Are we too strict on the kids? Because what about the good kids? There's some good ones. What are the good kids even? Because the good kids don't want to be out there, or do they? I don't know. But that stuff can turn a good kid bad because it's rebellious. And the kids are unsupervised on the internet because if more parents knew what their kids were doing, saying, and talking about, and I see all these advertisements for parental controls, and here's another thing that I don't like. They are now suing, like Facebook and Meta and Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg and all these social media companies. They now are being sued, and they're losing because of their platforms and what it does to children. All a parent has to do is monitor their kids' actions and behavior online, but they don't. Like, people think it's sweet having kids. Kids, they get sick all the time. They're really expensive. You got to buy them. Jordans. They get whooping cough. Sometimes school is just canceled because, I don't know, cold. It's cold outside, no school. You got to find somebody and then you got to make sure they don't get molested because they're bunch of perverts are everywhere. So people just think like, oh, I'm going to have these kids. It's going to be wonderful. How many parents look at their kids and be like, oh, jeez. When are you 18? What do we do with the good kids? You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Tacos and Tequila Festival, Saturday, May 30th at Franklin Field, featuring live performances by Shaggy, Rick Ross, Genuine, Soulja Boy, Frankie J, Mims, and more. There will be craft margaritas, Milwaukee's best taco vendors, authentic lucha libre wrestling, an exotic car showcase, a Chihuahua beauty pageant, art installations, and so much more. Tacos and Tequila Festival, Saturday, May 30th. Get your tickets at tacoandtequilafestival.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
The worst kind of whites, not that I'm picking on white folks, but you know how it goes, is the ones that think that they will lose something if this country becomes more fair and equal. I'm going to say that again. The worst kind of white people are the ones that think that if a black person gets a job and gets an opportunity and they ignore how hard the black person had to work and the racism, the bigotry, and the discrimination, and just how people turn their noses up at smart black people. They hate us. And the black person works really hard and overcomes maybe generational curses of poor health and poverty and all of those things. And we got to deal with the police and the criminal justice system that doesn't often have our backs. And then a black person gets a job, gets an opportunity, and a white person sees that and thinks that they lost. Those are the worst kind.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 to noon. Catch it live on YouTube or tune in to 101.7 The Truth.
Many of our most important memories are made at school. But for children like Victoria, the classroom can be a place of fear and isolation. She wore a bandage over her cleft every day, too shy to speak, too afraid to smile. Everything changed after one life-transforming surgery made possible by Smile Train. Today, Victoria's smile lights up her classroom, a symbol of confidence, connection, and new beginnings. Due to stigma, children with untreated clefts often miss out on school entirely. But thanks to Smile Train, students like Victoria are stepping into the classroom, raising their hands, and finding their voice. Smile Train partners with local experts to support with free cleft surgeries and other comprehensive care, empowering children to thrive in school and in life. Let's help every child walk into the classroom with confidence. Visit smiletrain.org/learn.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Despite the increased police presence, TMJ4 news crews saw hundreds of teens gathered at the mall on Sunday afternoon, yesterday. And TMJ4 cameras captured several fights, including one that spilled out onto busy Port Washington Road. I was able to view a clip of that fight. I mean, they're in the middle of the road. There's cars coming. And 3 kids, 2 of them it looked like jumped another kid, and the police were there and they made an arrest. Then there was a couple of girl fights, which is fairly typical for these kinds of gatherings. And something else that we should feel responsible for, because I don't know how many of these kids lived in Glendale. I'm assuming not a lot. Now, the other thing is Milwaukee doesn't have space. We have the 3rd Street Market Hall, but it's a little stricter here. They will probably remove loiterers. It also is a cashless place, and that's one way you can keep a particular element out of your establishment, because some of these teens do have their parents' credit cards or debit cards, but not many of them, and very few of them have their own credit cards and debit cards. So if you come here to the 3rd Street Market Hall, you can't buy anything with cash. I know, I've tried. I don't like using the card. I like cash, because it's a part of how I budget. I'll give them a paycheck. Oh, we got paid this. My paycheck came early. We weren't supposed to get paid this early. I was suspicious. We get paid on like the 15th or whatever date is closest to the 15th, but then the last day of the month. So if the last day of the month is a weekday, then we get paid. So tomorrow, we should get paid tonight at midnight. But I got paid on Friday, which I was suspicious of that. I don't know how to. Sometimes I don't know when I get paid, because then there's times when I expect it. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, and then just kidding, and then it just drops all of a sudden. I don't even know if I get paid here. I just get biweekly stimmies. It's always different amounts. I don't even look at my check stubs. So sometimes I'm like, oh, snap. What did I do this week? And other weeks I'm like, hey. But anyways, I get paid. I go get a certain amount of cash. And my cash is for my entertainment. So not discretionary spending. So going out to eat, going to lunch, going to happy hours. My entertainment money is my cash. And then once the cash is gone, you're done, Sherwin. You're done. Because I don't want to have to go and start using the cards. Now, the cards are for my non-discretionary spendings, for the bills, required things, paying insurance, that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of young people probably operate on cash, and so if you come to the 3rd Street Market Hall, you cannot buy anything with cash. So I think that cuts down on a particular element. But if, let's say the majority, and I don't know, so I'm not going to comment on something I don't have the facts for. Let's say the majority of the young people that were out there causing a disturbance and scaring people. I mean, they called it a takeover. Takeover sounds hostile. Here's one thing I would urge young people not to do. Don't be hostile in a world in which you have no power. Takeover sounds hostile. So they're calling it a takeover. And there are some people that had no idea this was coming because they may not follow certain people on social media. I know that I'm on Instagram. I got a couple of Instagram accounts, and this stuff didn't come across my feed because it clearly is outside of my 51-year-old person's algorithm, and for that I say good. So a lot of people probably were unaware. And I think a lot of people, had they known there was going to be a quote-unquote teen takeover at Bayshore, they would not have gone. They would have opted not to go. So imagine the impact to the stores. And the stores are going to be impacted even further because of what took place, because some people just don't want to deal with it. But if it's, and here's a question, it's probably rhetorical because I don't expect anybody to answer it. If people from Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, are descending on a place that is outside the city of Milwaukee in a whole nother city, a nearby city, but Glendale is its own city. It has its own common council. They have their own alderman. They have their own mayor. It is another city. They have their own police department. So if Milwaukee folks are going and converging on another community, and we are increasing the need for a police presence in Glendale, where Milwaukee people are gathering, that harms the people of Glendale that may need their police resources for other Glendale stuff. If you're a resident in Glendale and your house is getting broken into or somebody's trying to steal your vehicle and you call the police and they're unable to respond in a timely manner, and that perpetrator is able to effectuate that crime because the people from Milwaukee required a larger police presence, meaning there are less officers to respond to Glendale stuff that Glendale people pay property taxes for. They pay property taxes for their police, but then sometimes their police that they pay for with their property taxes has to go into policing people that come from another city. Make it make sense. When I talk about how Milwaukee culture devolved, especially in the 1980s, and I gave concrete reasons for that, and those that are old enough to remember know exactly what I'm talking about. See, Wisconsin was one of the last states in the upper Midwest to reform its welfare system. Welfare recipients back in the day, you used to get a check, and the more children you had, the higher your monthly payments were. There was no W-2, there was no reforming of the welfare system. Michigan reformed their welfare system. So no, you got to work. You don't get a check no more. Indiana, think about Gary, Indiana. They reformed their welfare system. You don't get a check anymore. You don't get higher monthly payments because of the number of children that you have. And then Illinois reformed their welfare system. Think about Cook County and Chicago. They said, no. You're not getting a check per child anymore. You got to work. But then you got Wisconsin. No, we'll give you a check. Come on. Bring all those babies. How many you got? 14 babies? 14 checks for you. You get 14 checks. And who do you think it attracted? The people from Wayne County, which is Detroit, that were no longer getting welfare checks. The people from Gary, Indiana, that were no longer getting welfare checks. And the people from Cook County, which is Chicago, that were no longer getting checks. All of them, the worst of the worst, came to Milwaukee to take advantage of an unreformed welfare system in Wisconsin. And they brought an element that we had never seen before, drug houses. Because when the women came with the kids, they brought the daddy, the uncle, the baby daddy, and the drug-dealing ex-boyfriend that just got out of prison. They all converged here. Next thing you know, you got abandoned houses that are now trafficking in crack. That was a direct reflection of people coming from other places and bringing their drug-selling culture. This was during the crack epidemic. This was not a Milwaukee thing. This was a Chicago thing, a Detroit thing, a Gary, Indiana thing, and it destroyed our community. So we in Milwaukee know what it's like when outsiders come in and then they require a heavier police presence. So good old-fashioned, hard-working Milwaukee families that came up here to work at A.L. Smith, or that came up here to work at Alice Chalmers, or came up here to work at Patrick Cudahy, or came up here to work for the Pabst Brewery or all the other breweries, now have to deal with these outside invaders causing more trouble, crime, mayhem, and dilapidating our culture. So we can relate to this. So I can feel for the people of Glendale that don't want our kids out there taking away the police presence from the people that pay taxes in Glendale to deal with Milwaukee kids. But I asked the question, are we too strict on the teens that go to the mall? Are we too mean to them? You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call, That's All Gruber Cash giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 1017 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call, That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
As the White House threatens to take over state elections, restrict abortion nationwide, and take away our health care, the Wisconsin Supreme Court is the last line of defense for our rights. That's why the Supreme Court election on April 7th is so critical. The ACLU does not endorse or oppose candidates, but wants you to make an informed decision. When it comes to abortion rights, Maria Lazar supported overturning Roe v. Wade and is endorsed by groups that want to ban abortion. Chris Taylor voted against abortion bans and defended abortion rights while working with Planned Parenthood. And on the issue of voting rights in Wisconsin, Maria Lazar defended efforts to rig elections for one political party through extreme gerrymandering of congressional and legislative districts. Chris Taylor opposes rigging the system with extreme partisan gerrymandering. On April 7th, stand up for our rights. Paid for by American Civil Liberties Union, Incorporated.
Hi, I'm Eric Zauner, Marine Corps veteran and board member for the Center for Veterans Issues, calling on the community to tee it up for a great cause. On Monday, June 15th, CVI is hosting its 5th annual golf outing at the River Club in Mequon. This year's event is supporting CVI's Permanent Supportive Housing Program, dedicated to assisting chronically homeless or disabled veterans and their families. Grab your clubs and support our veterans today. Register to golf, sponsor, or donate at cvivet.org/events.
Are you planning a special event? Do you need a personal chef? Either way, make it tasteful. I'm Alicia the Chef, owner of Tasteful Events Catering, and we create customized food experiences for any occasion. We bring quality, flavor, and professionalism to every table. Whether it's a special event or everyday meal solutions, we focus on delivering more than just food. We create experiences. Book today or learn more online at www.tastefuleventscatering.com.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Seriously injured? Make one call. That's all.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Despite the increased police presence, TMJ4 crews saw hundreds of teens gathered at the mall on Sunday afternoon, and TMJ4 cameras captured several fights, including one that spilled out onto busy Port Washington Road. Glendale Police, the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, and mall security spent several hours working to clear the area and disperse the crowd. Violence interruption groups were also on scene throughout the afternoon and evening, working to help prevent the situation from escalating. And shout out to the violence prevention groups that were out there. ComForce was out there, 414 Life was out there, and maybe some other folks and other people probably operating in their individual capacities. But ladies and gentlemen, that is really dangerous work, because sometimes these teens are armed, sometimes they don't immediately stop fighting when an adult comes to try and break the fight up. So you have to be willing to get hurt. So shout out to the people that are willing to put themselves in harm's way to break up fights and arguments amongst these unsupervised young people. But having people out, and so one of the solutions is going to be, we need more adults, we need more supervision out there. That's not stopping the problem. We got to go upstream, because why should we have to worry about more adults, more supervision, and a heavier police and security presence when kids show up? These young people, and I think people have just given up or they don't care, and the parents can't be excused, because if you're taking your child to an event, to a place where they have to be supervised per the policy of their private property, and you're dropping them off, you got to have some kind of liability as well. But there's something that I am not seeing in this younger generation, and I don't know how you implement it. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's just a lost cause. We say, screw it, lock them all up and arrest them all and just hire more police just to arrest the black kids. But don't say it's racist now. If we're not going to go upstream and figure out why in the hell they all want to fight each other all the time anyway, instead of enjoying the opportunity and the privilege of being able to go to a mall and to kick it and to congregate, they have to know that if they screw up, all of them are going to pay a price. Then they're not going to be welcome anywhere. At the same time, you have young people saying, oh, we want more stuff to do. We can't. We can't give you more stuff to do because we don't have enough money for security. If they are not self-policing, if the young people that like to go and hang out and get out of the house and just be out and about and be in the fresh air and mix and mingle with other kids, if they are not intervening and stopping their peers from fighting, then what do you think the adults are going to do? Because to law enforcement and security, all of those young people are nails and they are the hammer. You do not want the discipline of these public spaces to be adults in uniform. The kids have to identify a problem because they know who has beef with each other. They have to know. And if they are not actively engaged in saying, hey, if you all fight, then we're all going to get in trouble and we're going to lose this space too. Now, Milwaukee doesn't hold space for them. And I feel bad because there are people that live in Glendale. They didn't ask for this. They didn't. And now their police, we don't think about this practically now. And I don't know how much money it costs for the additional police presence or maybe police overtime. Maybe somebody was getting off work at noon or at 1 o'clock. A police officer was about to end their shift and they had to stay on another couple of hours because they were needed at Bayshore. This may have cost the city of Glendale more money because of young people that cause a disturbance that aren't from Glendale. So we are costing them more money. It isn't fair. But also, at the same time, Milwaukee folks will say, well, it's not our problem. They weren't in Milwaukee causing the disturbance. And if we held space for them here, the programming would have to be so specific that only a certain number of people would be able to administer whatever those programs are. And I don't know what young people respond to. I barely even remember what we responded to. Oh, what we responded to is just, are there going to be parents there? Oh, there's not? Okay, we'll show up. But we also knew that if one of us acted in a way that was unruly or disrespectful or violent, then all of us would lose the privilege. It just seems like the lack of supervision that we had amongst adults is now a lack of supervision on how young people can organize on the internet, and they may do so for sinister purposes. And maybe we organize for sinister purposes too, because if we found out somebody's parents were out of town, we did a phone tree. I'd call somebody else would call somebody. I called somebody on three-way, they called somebody on three-way. Hey, so-and-so's parents are out of town. And the only thing sinister that we really wanted to do was touch a couple of butts, because that's a part of it. You got to touch a butt. Touching a butt to a teenage boy is like walking around in your backyard and just finding a brick of gold. Like, oh, wow. What a great day. I touched a butt. I found a 10-ounce brick of gold. They kind of were hand in hand. In fact, some teenage boys would rather have the butt touch or get their butts touched, whatever. It's fine. It's not my problem. I've had my butt touched before. Wait, not like that. No. By a girl. Like, hi, Sherwin, you got a nice butt, and they give you a little goose. Whoop.
Hey, it's okay if it was the opposite.
No, it isn't. Not. Ask Jose Perez. That's not okay. That's not cool for a man. Unless you're an athlete. Good play. And you give him a smack, give him a spank. Oh, that was great. Smack. Then it's okay. It's got to be in a very defined context. But a bunch of dudes hanging out, drinking, maybe watching a game, butt touches are not. That'll get you punched in the face. You know what I mean? You don't. Just don't touch my butt. Like, I got boundaries. Right? You can't just go up to a random woman and touch her butt. You need written permission nowadays. You need written permission, a vocal recording, a signed document, an NDA, probably a lawyer. Just okay, ma'am, how are you? I have a document here. And then if you just want to sign this release form, I will take my index finger and just poke the top of your buttocks, but only with your signature. And then here, I got a notary right here to sign it and to witness it. And then we're going to get the whole thing recorded. Here, why don't you step on into the office here so we can finalize the paperwork so I can touch your butt and then not be labeled me too. The only thing we want to do that was sinister is probably just underage drink. Where now it just seems that they want to cause trouble and chaos, because when they call it a takeover, that does not sound peaceful. Now, there was another takeover of sorts, about 3,300 of them nationwide, in the No Kings protest, in which you had thousands of people with zero arrests. Let's talk about that on the other side. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
I travel all around the world, Dr. Ken, and when I tell you, based on my experiences, this is like the number one country that cares. Like, everything is about money. Yep. Everything.
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
I've told people in the past, you have to be careful of what you complain about and what you use as a tool, because other people will take it and use it in the wrong way.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 1017 The Truth.
When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, I had so many questions. I didn't even know that it was cancer. Now I do. It is cancer. Blood cancer. It's actually one of more than 100 different types, and they're all treated differently. Now, unlike some other forms of cancer, usually there's no tumor. You can't screen for it to prevent it, and the symptoms can look like other things, so it could be hard to diagnose. I had a fever for weeks. I was so tired all the time. I didn't feel like eating or doing anything else for that matter. And I know that this can feel scary. But if you know what to look out for, you'll know what to tell your doctor. And you'll feel more empowered to take the next steps. Like getting in touch with the people who know the ins and outs and can help with everything blood cancer related. Blood Cancer United. They work one-on-one with each person who reaches out to answer questions and offer resources. Blood Cancer United was there for me, and they can be there for you.
Go to bloodcancerunited.org to learn more.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available, because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
We are the home of Milwaukee Black Talk. 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. This was the third of its kind, the third No Kings protest since Donald Trump was reelected president of the United States, and they have steadily grown in number. And we even had a large one here in the city of Milwaukee at Washington Park. And similar to the takeovers, that I have a flyer for a Mayfair Mall takeover, which I don't know when it is, but someone passed that along to me. So whatever these mall takeovers are with the teens, there's going to be another one, or there was one at Mayfair. And the thing is, authorities will likely be ready for any in the future. But if you were going to a No Kings protest, maybe you heard about it on the news, but to find out about a No Kings protest in your area, you would go to the same social media that the teens went to. You didn't get an email. You didn't get a formal invitation. Nobody called you. You found out about this large-scale anti-Donald Trump protest the way everybody else found out about it. You saw a hashtag or it was in your algorithm, but there was a difference. You had thousands of people that attended some of these protests. They say up to 1,000 people or more were at the Washington Park protest, and you had no arrests. So it is possible, and some of those people in that crowd can be violent too. Some of those real serious anti-Trump people, they'll fight you. They'll punch you in the face. You know, some of those Antifas. You know, those violent Antifas. Antifa, ISIS, Hezbollah, all kind of the same, right? Oh, I kid, relax. But here is the part that has confused me about No Kings protests, and I have not gone to any. I've sat out. Because what am I protesting? What? He got elected? I didn't vote for the dude. His policies, I don't support those. What, am I going to walk around with a bunch of people, some of whom probably did vote for him and regret it and want to mask the fact that they voted for him and now they want to make good? Like, I think I'll go to a No Kings. But what are you doing if you're not registering people to vote? If you are not organizing for future elections? If you are not looking for future candidates for school board and the Common Council, what is the point? That's the thing that I don't get. When we protest, it's because something happened. We want to take direct action and then turn it into policy. Just getting out there and walking and talking for no reason because you hate Trump. And here's the thing, in the grand scheme of things, for a protest, it's really big. 8 million people, which is an estimate, that's big. And they've grown. I think the first one was 3 million, then the next was like 5 or 6 million. This is 8 million. But what are you getting out of it? Even the George Floyd protest led to a policy. It led to the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, which still never got passed. Joe Biden did do some executive orders on federal law enforcement, but at least the George Floyd protests, which were global, and there was millions of people that protested then too, it led to a policy. No Kings, my perspective of it, isn't doing anything but just getting a bunch of people together because there's no concrete policy solution. And I know you want to mansplain, Xavier. What you got for us? Do you think that there was a reason for it?
I mean, no, they are organizing, and they do have a message behind it. I think you need to go down there and observe it.
So I was at Zach and I. They did one here at Cathedral Square. It must have been last summer.
There was one.
And I didn't know that there was one that was taking place. And so we happened to be at Taylor's and we saw all the people. And maybe we did know. Zach ended up joining it. And you know what it was? It was mostly, it was anti-Kings, but it was taken over by the pro-Palestinian people. And I get it, totally understand. But there was nothing so they had a route, right? But there were no tables. There was no sign-up sheets. And maybe they do it differently now. But I think that's the difference between, and they've often been wondering, like, oh, where are the African Americans? There's a reason why black people are not out there. Because we already effectuated the best kind of protest that we could by trying to make sure that this person that you all are now protesting didn't get elected in the first place. And he did. So what are we walking and marching for? Because there still isn't even a guarantee that the Republicans are going to be defeated in the midterm elections. But and I guess the grand statement I'm trying to make, for 8 million people in 3,300 protests nationwide, we're not going to see any tangible political action. And maybe in other cities they registered voters, but in the one that I saw, and there's no agenda, because you'll see the No Kings protest, it doesn't say, hey, come and find out about this. Come and find out about different resources in your community. They are not doing that. I think they're just trying to use an intimidation factor. Let's just see how many people we can get. And for a protest that is just anti the dude that got elected when the biggest protest was the election. So that protest, people are like, nah, I'm going to sit out that protest. Because if, let's say 74 million people voted for Donald Trump, let's just say it's that number. It might be a little bit north of that. What does 8 million people do? What does 8 million people walking and, being mad, and there's always a hippie with drums. There's always drums and a white person with dreadlocks. It's not a protest unless you have those elements. In the grand, especially in a blue state that a Republican is not going to fare well in anyway, like what is it? So I'm talking about for the person that's with the George Floyd protest. If you didn't participate, you saw compelling reasons as to why you should. There was an action that took place that was horrible. A man was murdered. A police officer potentially could have gotten off totally scot-free because it's not like Derek Chauvin was fired right away. You might want to see real policy change and legislative change. And so the George Floyd protests, which were also large protests that we had, there was a policy goal to it. What is the policy goal? Like, what do people want the Trump administration to do? We're going to get 8 million people because this is what we're protesting. We're protesting this, not just the man and, I don't like waiting in line at TSA. Well, and that's not even what you think it is. Waiting in line at TSA is Donald Trump holding the American people hostage, meaning if you got to fly across country, you got to catch a flight because you got a relative that's dying, or you got a very important business meeting, or maybe you have an interview in another city and you got to make it out there for the interview, you're going to miss your flight. He is holding you hostage because the Republicans are not going to change how they effectuate immigration rates. Here's why just to give you an example. And they're not even protesting that. Maybe it's just they're so mad at everything, or they're mad that they voted for Trump and they're always saying, I didn't vote for this. Yeah, you did. You 100% voted for it. He didn't get in by himself. You voted for everything an impulsive, impetuous, child-abusing felon. Everything that his stream of consciousness is what you voted for. And some people are okay with that, because they know that his stream of consciousness is the same as theirs, but Trump has more power to punish minorities than liberals. So they voted for him. So to say, oh, I didn't vote for this, when I voted for Obama, I voted for all of it, including that tan suit. I was like, I hope he wears a tan suit one day. Can't wait to cast this ballot. So with George Floyd, you knew that there needed to be justice reform, police reform. We knew that because a lot of cities have had a bunch of incidents. It also was a culmination of a lot of police brutality incidents that a lot of cities had seen. It wasn't just Baltimore with Freddie Gray. It wasn't just Tamir Rice. It wasn't just Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida. It was a whole bunch of things. And people just got fed up and they said, we need an actual policy solution. So you protest, civil rights protest. We need federal protections for civil rights, for employment rights, for voting rights, and for open and fair housing. Do you see why there's a disconnect here? Because the No Kings protests are not connecting themselves to any one specific policy aim. And if you just want to get out there and show numbers, I think that that's great. And so even if, let's assume that these protests are organized other than people just posting the date and the times online or on the No Kings protest website, there are no specific policies mentioned that they are protesting to get support for. They just want to show a number. But then when you compare the number, 8 million people, to the number of people that voted for this current regime, then it barely even scratches the surface or makes a dent. So, but if there was a particular, like, we want more funding for public schools, No Kings. We want, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to be reinvigorated. No, Kings, they're not doing any of that. That's why they're not getting participation from us, because black folks need to know, like, what are we doing here? Like, at the end of this, if I call off of work, or if I go out here with a whole bunch of people and I'm going to deal with parking, and I'm going to deal with traffic, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to walk and talk and protest. What am I getting? That's why it's empty. But also, that's when they do protest, this is what they're like. They're just dissatisfied. A white person feeling uncomfortable. Because now, white people in this country, especially if you're a Democrat, you feel like an N-word too, because Donald Trump is just going in a direction that is counter and contrary to your best interests. Now you feel like you have zero power whatsoever. So like, oh, I don't like this discomfort. I hate it. I'm going to get out here and just be uncomfortable with other people. Let's talk to someone who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, organized, I don't know, probably one of the larger No Kings protests in the country. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Sherwin. You know, look, I want to ask you, not ask you, don't you think, because I think that instead of Trump wearing a hat, Make America Great, he should wear a hat, losers and suckers do not, give in. Like McCain did, who was able to get out of whatever he, gave up to and put that vote down that enabled us to keep Obamacare. So he should wear a hat that says suckers and losers should never give up. Just die. What you gonna do? Fight until you die? Yeah,
Hold on. What should the hat say again? What should be on the hat? Say what should be on the hat again.
Suckers and losers should not. What is that when you give up? What's that word?
Surrender?
Man, I'm getting old. Yes. Should not surrender. Suckers, and he should wear that hat. Tell his military, you do not give up. You die, you fight dying, or don't join the military. That's what he should have.
That's a lot of words.
And I gotta
on one
ask,
hat, though. That's a lot of words.
No, okay. Just suckers and losers do not, that word you just said.
Surrender.
Right.
Okay, then.
Right. And then I want to say, I'm not going to say it now.
Why not?
But I'm going to, because, I don't want to change the subject.
You don't.
$16 trillion of racism? I have three questions to ask you.
When I talked about the cost of lost productivity and underpayment of wages because of racism, between 16 and 40 trillion. It's an estimate. It can be as high as 40. It's a lot of money.
Do you understand how much not a billion, not a big trillion?
Yeah, I know. It's a lot.
One question. Okay. Can you mentally comprehend how much a trillion is? That's the first question. The second question is...
No.
I
can only give an analogy to what a trillion is. A million millions.
Oh, man, that's a lot. The second question, is the suing of these companies, when you get shot, you get sued, or when you see racism on the job, you get sued for $1 million. Does that equal the amount of $16 trillion? And my third question is...
So, no, it does not. That's to answer your question. So, no. Especially because now... When someone would sue because they feel like they were racially discriminated against, the people that are enforcing racial discrimination laws at the federal level have all been reassigned to immigration and customs agencies. So the money that people sue for and win doesn't add up to the trillions that are lost, and there's going to be less people winning those lawsuits because there are less people in the Department of Justice whose job it is to investigate those cases of discrimination.
My third question, do you believe it's $16 trillion of racism? or the country loses. And I just, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
You believe it?
Oh, God, yeah. The number of people that don't get hired, or if they do get hired and they get fired and they have longer periods of being on unemployment, which is a lower wage, the lack of health care resources and the amount of police brutality and the costs for that. Oh, yeah, I believe if you add it all up, oh, sure. Lost opportunity, more difficult for African Americans to obtain financing and credit and loans for small business endeavors, and so that person remains unemployed. The amount of money they are pulling down in welfare and other resources they qualify for because of poverty, the higher black unemployment rate. If you do the math on all of that, the underperforming schools and the lower wages, the people who either drop out of high school or they get a high school diploma and their reading proficiency is so low that they can only make $7 an hour, there's a huge gap in their wage, whereas if they graduated from high school and they were proficient and got a college scholarship and now they're making $100,000 a year, if you add all that stuff up, over the last 20 years, you are definitely in the trillions. But the thing about it is America is willing to pay that price. Because why should a white person that wants to be successful and they want their children to be successful give away those opportunities to black people? Why would they want to do, and maybe they should, but why would they want to? Why would they want a DEI policy that sacrifices their promotion in favor of a black person's because, you know, this company is not diverse enough?
All that information you just divulged to me, I have to let it sink in to understand $16 trillion worth of racism. I will talk to you later. Man.
Don't hurt yourself now thinking about it. It's going to break your brain a little bit now, Bob.
You're pretty mean today.
Oh, he just hung up. Let's see. What was Bob referring to? Oh, here it is. Oh, he's got a very good memory because I talked about this on Friday. Long-term cumulative cost, $16 trillion in lost gross domestic product between the years 2000 and the year 2020 due to racial discrimination against black Americans alone. $51 trillion in lost economic output from 1990 to 2020 from racial inequality across all groups. These imply $800 billion to $2 trillion every year in lost economic output depending upon methodology and scope. Health disparities plus direct productivity losses, $451 billion a year in excess medical costs, premature deaths, and lost labor productivity. Majority of the burden falls on African Americans at 69% of the total. Education inequality, $978 billion a year tied to education-related inequalities, especially below college level. This includes lower lifetime earnings for African Americans, reduced productivity for African Americans, higher health care costs, and higher incarceration and social service costs. If someone is incarcerated because they committed a crime that's directly related to their poverty or a crime directly related to their addiction, and there were no anti-poverty programs and no good-paying jobs and no treatments available for their addiction, and they end up going to prison, and I don't know, maybe prison costs $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and they do 10 years in prison, that's $500,000 per inmate for every 10 years. Do the math on that. College readiness and remediation costs. Students from underfunded K-12 schools are significantly more likely to require remedial casework, which adds $3,000 per student annually, reduces graduation rates, and delays workforce entry. Labor market discrimination. Black workers earn 20% less than white workers, even controlling for education. Now, that's the part that's not fair because we're told we got to go to the colleges. And then you go to the college and you still make 20% less. I think I got to take a commercial break. I think so. All right, let's take a break, come back. Bob got a good memory. Oh, $1 trillion. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back in less than 1 trillion seconds.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
As the White House threatens to take over state elections, restrict abortion nationwide, and take away our health care, the Wisconsin Supreme Court is the last line of defense for our rights. That's why the Supreme Court election on April 7th is so critical. The ACLU does not endorse or oppose candidates, but wants you to make an informed decision. When it comes to abortion rights, Maria Lazar supported overturning Roe v. Wade and is endorsed by groups that want to ban abortion. Chris Taylor voted against abortion bans and defended abortion rights while working with Planned Parenthood. And on the issue of voting rights in Wisconsin, Maria Lazar defended efforts to rig elections for one political party through extreme gerrymandering of congressional and legislative districts. Chris Taylor opposes rigging the system with extreme partisan gerrymandering. On April 7th, stand up for our rights. Paid for by American Civil Liberties Union, Incorporated.
Hey fans, John Kuhn here, team captain of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and there's a reason it's considered the Midwest premier place to bet on all your favorite sports. The full bar, awesome dining, 2,000 square foot screen, and nearly 100 betting kiosks makes for an unbeatable playbook. Bet above the rest, only at Potawatomi Sportsbook in Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 to enter casino.
Hi, I'm Greg Fritsch, president of the Center for Veterans Issues, inviting you to get involved in supporting the CVI mission. The Center for Veterans Issues is proud to serve veterans across Wisconsin. Each year, we help more than 1,200 veterans stay housed, find meaningful employment, and connect with the support they've earned. From housing assistance and job training to case management and suicide prevention outreach, our team is here to help veterans build stable, independent lives. If you're a veteran in need of support, visit cvivet.org. Donations can also be accepted at cvivet.org/donate.
Tacos and Tequila Festival, Saturday, May 30th at Franklin Field, featuring live performances by Shaggy, Rick Ross, Genuine, Soulja Boy, Frankie J, Mims, and more. There will be craft margaritas, Milwaukee's best taco vendors, authentic lucha libre wrestling, an exotic car showcase, a Chihuahua beauty patch, art installations, and so much more. Tacos and Tequila Festival, Saturday, May 30th. Get your tickets at tacoandtequilafestival.com.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
More than 8 million people turned out at over 3,300 No Kings protests across all 50 states on Saturday, organizers said, calling it the largest single-day demonstrations in U.S. history. The first two rounds in June and October of 2025. I think October of 2025 is when they had the one at Cathedral Square that I happened to have a front row seat for. And it was everybody's grievance at that one, because there was picket signs representing a bunch of different interests. And look, and I totally get it. People are mad and they want to show up in large numbers because it gets news coverage, and maybe it sends a message to Donald Trump to like, hey, it's a bunch of millions of people that are really dissatisfied right now. And maybe that is what the point is, to send a message. Culturally, as an African American, a protest is one of 10 steps to effectuating social change. The protest itself acts as a gathering point for people and civil disobedience, because you're marching down public streets where traffic has to stop, traffic has to be redirected. Sometimes, not as often anymore, protests go onto the freeway and they got to stop freeway traffic, and that inconveniences people that otherwise would not care about what's going on. But if you can't get to where you're going, and if you interrupt traffic, and if you make people have to stop in traffic and they have to be late, it's inconvenient, is it not? It's a disruption, and it makes you wonder, wow, Why is traffic backed up right here? I take this route every single day, someone might say, but now I'm stuck in traffic. Oh, there's a protest going on. Let me pay more attention to the protest now. Or they end up hating the people that are protesting even more because you're backing up traffic on the freeway. But then from the protest, you'll have candidate recruitment or voter registration or flyers and pamphlets about other ways in which people can get involved. And then that leads to higher political participation, or leads to people calling their member of Congress and urging them to create a bill or support a bill that is on the House floor. And if a protest does not have all of those pieces too, and then with the No Kings protest, they could have done that because this is the third protest, and now the total is 8 million, so 20 million people in 3 protests. That's not bad. That isn't. But if you have not extracted some kind of productivity from those 20 million people, but what I really think it is, because protest organizers have noticed, where are we? If you have to ask where the black people are, then maybe the protest is missing a critical element that African Americans usually show up for. Now, there's going to be some lefty liberal black folks that want to be out there because they want to be in with the in group. Of course there are. But I think it's just people that don't like the way Donald Trump is disregarding them. Remember, in Minneapolis, 2 white people were killed. White folks either aren't used to it or they typically don't care. It rarely makes the news when there's an officer-involved shooting and a white person is killed, unless it's tied to, the Trump administration and immigration enforcement. Because think about this. At the end of the day, shouldn't white people be able to do whatever they want, walk on patrol cars and flip them over whenever they want because of that white privilege? And sometimes white privilege is exposed as a myth because Renee Good and Alex Preddy never should have been killed. Because Alex Preddy was at a previous protest, because there's images of him at previous protests with that same gun intervening in a situation where he got into a little tussle with immigration and customs enforcement. At a previous protest, they didn't shoot him, but they shot him this time. That's never supposed to happen. And so I will give these protesters their moment. But this is stuff that black people have been experiencing since our inception into this country. Like, we had to protest to be able to be considered human and to get basic protections from federal law. These white folks that are out here, they don't like how it feels. Well, what do you mean white people are getting shot by the Trump administration? But yeah, I know we're a different political affiliation, but you're not supposed to be shooting and killing us, because the flagship protest was where? In Minneapolis. And I totally get that. This is something that America has never really seen before. The only other time you've seen white people killed involving themselves in a protest is in the civil rights movement, when they were out there with us. But then they willingly knew, because black people, we get beat and killed and disappeared by the police. Like, that is the whole historical record of African American cultural interaction with the police. But with white folks, it's new. And I think they are protesting that, where they're protesting the fact that their whiteness is not keeping them alive when they're doing things that white people can do. Another example is, you've seen some of the videos, and some of you have you ever been in the car when a white person gets pulled over? You ever witnessed the beauty of how that white person is able to talk to that cop? I don't freaking care, dude. What are you pulling me over for? You take this ticket and you shove it up your keister. We don't talk to cops like that. Well, this generation does. But there was always an understanding that white people could take a lot more latitude with authority because they were white, a comparative level of latitude. A black person could raise their voice and be cuffed. Or a black child is considered more dangerous when they're expressing themselves emotionally, to where now you have to subdue that child. Where white kids get to blow up and have temper tantrums all the time, and they just say, well, he's just depressed. More than 8 million people turned out at over 3,300 No Kings protests across all 50 states on Saturday, organizers said, calling it the largest single-day demonstration in U.S. history. The first 2 rounds. The March on Washington, that was only 250,000 people, so I guess this is a bigger number. There was probably 8 million people that protested on George Floyd. Maybe? No? The first two rounds in June and October of 2025 drew an estimated 5 million and 7 million people, respectively. Independent verification of the figures was not immediately available. Here's another example of why I think these protests weren't culturally catered to us. Bruce Springsteen performed Streets of Minneapolis at the flagship rally in St. Paul, telling a crowd of at least 100,000 that, quote, federal troops brought death and terror to the streets of Minneapolis. They picked the wrong city. Governor Tim Walz, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Jane Fonda and Joan Baez spoke or performed. So the same people that would have been at Woodstock, basically. Jane Fonda, Joan Baez. Let's see. Even during Woodstock, Bernie was probably in his 30s. Because back then the slogan for baby boomers was don't trust anybody over 30. I just find it. But I think this tells you what this movement is. And I'm not taking anything away from it. I am trying to explain to white folks that are asking the question, why are these protests not heavily stacked and stocked with African Americans? Because you've got Bernie Sanders, Jane Fonda, and Joan Baez. Some of y'all have to Google who Joan Baez is. She's a folk singer from the 60s. Not exactly a respected leader in civil rights movements for black people. And I'm not saying that she's not pro-black civil rights, but if I get a press release, and I get a ton. Hey, Sherwin, we just want to let you know that Joan Baez is coming to a rally and a protest on 27th and North Avenue. Please get the word out. Oh, all right, I will, but tens of thousands more marched through Times Square in New York, crossed Memorial Bridge in Washington, D.C., and rallied from Palm Beach, Florida to London. In Dallas, London, Florida, or London, England? In Dallas, clashes erupted between marchers and counter-protesters that included pardoned January 6 figures. In L.A., 9 people were arrested after demonstrators hurled rocks and bottles at federal officers outside a detention center overnight. And there's always a risk of arrest, okay? Because you never know when you're going out to a protest if something jumps off, because it starts with just a skirmish, then the next thing you know, you're smelling tear gas. For black people to not have any clear direction of how we fit into it, because the problems that we have and the economic opportunity that we are still deprived from, like I have a story right here that talks about now Donald Trump is auditing federal contractors to make sure they're not hiring black contractors. It's from Black Enterprise. It'll blow your mind. Because if we don't see that reflected in these protests, we're not going to risk getting arrested. If you can't tell me exactly what the protest is for and what the means to an end actually is, that's not worth getting arrested. White people love to get arrested because they'll just go to the jail, touch go, and then they'll just be let out right away. And so I'm just trying to explain to folks that are confused as to why these protests are not overwhelmingly dominated by African Americans. Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to protest, but nothing that we are protesting is involved in this. And look, it's great. If people want to get out there and march and organize, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a beautiful exhibition of democracy. But we are not going to risk arrest when there's no clear policy vision, when we tried to give y'all a policy vision in November of 2024. So that's fine. We'll let you guys do your thing and let us know when you need us. But it's not going to be for this. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with Black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Having all sorts of music problems today. I don't even know what song this is.
I played it for you.
Oh, you played a song. All right, thank you, Xavier. Coming in the clutch. All right, there's a question that somebody texted in. I said I was going to read it. It's not. It makes people think about not having children. Well, and that's because once, they're out of the birth canal, I guess you could give them away. Do people do that? If they do, they probably are ashamed. Like, I doubt I would get a caller that would say, yeah, I had a kid, didn't really work out for me, so I put him up for sale. No, because to adopt a child, I went through the cost, the legal fees, the adoption fees. You know what's crazy? Which doesn't shock anybody. White children have higher... It costs more to adopt a white child. Black, Latino, and Asian kids are a big discount. It's still like $10,000 though. But it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of documentation. Then there's you got to talk to people and get interviewed. They got to make sure you're a good fit. And then there's a lot of fees. You would think to get a rescue baby, probably shouldn't say that. They'd be like, no, here, come get one. See which one clings to you. Because I'm going to get in trouble. See which one you hit it off with, and just here you go. Here's feeding instructions. Just take care of the baby, but you got to pay a lot of money. When I went through, I think they've reformed the system because it was a clear financial difference. in adopting a white child versus a black child, but also the number of black children that are up for adoption is higher. There's more supply. And when there's more supply, then the value is reduced. Even though I shouldn't be comparing adoption to supply and demand. I mean, kind of. Okay, here's the question that Stacy texted in at 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. They say, pose a question. If you as a parent had a crystal ball prior to your children being born, and see what you as a parent and them as a child turn into as of now, would you not be a parent today or have kids? Who has failed? I'll bet you most people. If you knew your child was going to kill somebody and you didn't have the child yet, this is a magic crystal ball. You go see a gypsy, and she's got a crystal ball. It's, ooh, look into the crystal ball. This is you in 10 years, or however they sound. And you look into the crystal ball, and you see your child wearing an orange jumpsuit getting sentenced to life plus 30 years. And you can say, yeah, I don't want, nope, no thanks, I'm not going to do that. I have, and they're very apparent now. I think for a while we just ignored people with no kids. In fact, for a long period of time, in my generation in particular, if somebody didn't have kids by a certain age, you're like, ooh, what's wrong with you? Oh, how come you don't have any kids? Or how many kids are you going to have? Or you find out that a couple is getting married. First thing we ask, oh, when are you guys going to have kids? Some people don't want kids. And so now, in my age cohort, we're old. We're in our 50s. Our oldest in my age cohort are in their early 60s. And the people that don't have kids, now they don't have grandkids and they don't have a legacy. But to some people, they don't care about that. Because what if your legacy just sucks? You know what I mean? Like, why duplicate a legacy what if there is no legacy? What if there's nothing special that you want to carry on? Which is a legitimate thing. Some people will be like, I don't have anything to pass on. I don't need any kids. But the people so that I'm familiar with, and some of you may be able to relate to this, the people that don't have any kids, like, their houses are paid for. They go on vacations a lot. Like, oh, hey, you want to hang out, next week, Thursday? No, I'm going to Greece for the month. Oh, okay, well, let's hang out when you get back. No, I'm going to go to Italy and just live for about 8 weeks. They just travel and they do stuff and they have money. A lot of gay couples that don't have kids, just time of their lives. Kids are extremely expensive. You have to be willing to sacrifice several income brackets. You do. You have to. And some people can withstand it. They know that it's going to be, $100,000 you're going to have to put away per child for their education and paying for their private school and making sure that they've got everything that they need. And then some. Having children is for people with money, because when you have children and don't have money, it's a problem. It's almost like the functional heroin addict. Some people think that if you're strung out on drugs, or if you have a heroin addiction or a cocaine addiction, that, you're going to look terrible. You're going to look disheveled. You're not going to take care of yourself. Your personal hygiene is going to fail. Here's the misconception. Those are people that have a drug addiction that can't afford it. There are doctors and lawyers and accountants and people that own successful businesses that are just as addicted to crack, powder cocaine, and heroin, but they can afford to maintain their addiction, and you are none the wiser. They might come into work a little late. They may take a few more sick days, but the problem with addiction is not being able to afford it. That's when you can't take care of your appearance and your teeth are falling out. There's some junkies that can go to the dentist, like, oh, I'm losing a tooth. Let me go get a veneer. And you wouldn't even know, because they can afford the drug and the additional maintenance that addiction oftentimes brings. So it's a bad comparison. I don't want to compare kids to cocaine. I have found it unique. So I'm at a point now where a lot of my social circle, their nests are emptying, especially single moms. And their entire existence, their entire identity has been their child. Their whole reason for living. They do everything for their child. Their child comes first. They're not going to date. They're not going to do any of these things because my child is my life. My child comes first. Absolutely wonderful. Excellent. But when that child is ready to leave the nest, maybe go away to college, maybe just move out of the house because you've done your job as an adult. If your child is like, yo, I'm good. I'm self-sufficient. I'm going to get an apartment. I got a job. I went to college or whatever the case may be. The parents can't let go. I can give you 3 examples, and maybe it's just my unique social circle, where 3 of my friends whose children graduated from high school and chose to go to college in another city, my friends moved to the city where their kids were going to college. Talk about helicopter parenting. Isn't that the point? You raise them, if you got a girl, you keep her off the stripper pole. If you got a boy, I guess this goes for girls too. Keep them out of jail, get them through high school, boom. You give them everything that they need to know for the world that is to come. You raise them for the future. You raise them for a world in which you're quite honestly not going to be around for most of it. You raise them to be self-sufficient and to be independent and to be critical thinkers and to make really good decisions. And then, boom, you did your job. Congratulations, mama or daddy. Now you get to live your life. Too many people, they can't let go. Well, my guy told me, he was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to. I'm like, oh, you got a job transfer? He was like, no, I'm going to have to look for another job. When I move to the city that my child is going to college in and going to be living in the dorms, and here's what happened. He moved to the city, and now his child doesn't want to have anything to do with him because his child wants to explore college and, like, have new friends and new experience. It's sad. I said all that to say this. Based on Stacy's question, if you had a crystal ball and you could see deep into the future of what your life would be like and what your child or children's lives would be like, and if it doesn't turn out very well, would you still make the decision to have children? And some people absolutely would. But it is a kind of sacrifice that is very unpredictable. And also imagine the loss of a child. Parents never recover from that. They don't, and I would never wish that on anybody, to deal with something that's never supposed to happen. It's like it upsets nature when a parent has to bury their child. If you knew that that was going to happen, would you still have children anyway? Even with that, some people would say they still would. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Truth Nation, it's that time again for the Tory Low Community Cleanup. Mark your calendars for Saturday, April 18th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. as we come together to clean up the city of Milwaukee. Be part of making a difference in our community. The Tory Low Community Cleanup, Saturday, April 18th, 8 to noon. Sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, Steinhoffels, Cousin Subs, Waste Management, and presented by the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District, your clean water partner, serving Greater Milwaukee for 100 years.
Hi, I'm Eric Zauner, Marine Corps veteran and board member for the Center for Veterans Issues, calling on the community to tee it up for a great cause. On Monday, June 15th, CVI is hosting its 5th annual golf outing at the River Club in Mequon. This year's event is supporting CVI's Permanent Supportive Housing Program, dedicated to assisting chronically homeless or disabled veterans and their families. Grab your clubs and support our veterans today. Register to golf, sponsor, or donate at cvivet.org/events.
Redlining happened here. Some neighborhoods are still left behind. When decisions are made about our blocks, our homes, and our families, we deserve to be heard. The Milwaukee County Office of Equity and Empower invites you to help us tell the story of wealth by taking a short survey online. What do you need to build wealth for your family, business, or neighborhood? Take the survey and be entered in to win concert tickets, cash prizes, and more. Take the survey now through the end of March at mkestoryofwealth.com. That's mkestoryofwealth.com.
Are you planning a special event? Do you need a personal chef? Either way, make it tasteful.
I
Alicia the Chef, owner of Tasteful Events Catering, and we create customized food experiences for any occasion. We bring quality, flavor, and professionalism to every table. Whether it's a special event or everyday meal solutions, we focus on delivering more than just food. We create experiences. Book today or learn more online at www.tastefuleventscatering.com.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
So currently I'm standing.
Milwaukee was among dozens of Wisconsin cities that joined the third wave of No Kings protests on March 28th in a nationwide demonstration against President Donald Trump's agenda. Let me pause for a second. You can't just protest a whole agenda. You got to protest a thing that you want a policy remedy for. I need to be able to see the finish line. Otherwise, I'm not going to start the race, because otherwise I'll be running forever and I don't know where I'm going. Does that make sense to you? Black people have got to be much more practical about why we protest. We can't just, otherwise we wouldn't go to work. If we just want to protest like, oh, this feels uncomfortable, let's take to the streets and see how many other people we can get to join us. It has to be the means to an end. That's the difference. I'm trying to think the last time large cohorts, oh yeah, all right, so January 6th would be another day. So take away George Floyd, take away any officer-involved killings of people, whether they be Alex Preddy and Renee Good or other people, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin. The last large, impactful protest that I can recall would be January 6th. And think about what that was. We don't like who won the election. They thought there was going to be great political and social either upheaval or discomfort with Joe Biden getting elected. When I talk about a protest that it's not a means to an end, like what was January 6th really going to do? Joe Biden won. Boo. Let's break stuff. The election is already over, baby. They counting the votes, baby. You can't. Well, we don't like how they're counting them. They're using numbers. Boo. Let's break things, because we don't like how it feels that the other old white guy won. We wanted this white guy, Trump, to win, not the other one. No, wrong old white guy. I only see the contrast in that same cohort of people. I know that this probably created the sentiment that got people bold enough to want to protest, will destroy the U.S. Capitol. Barack Obama got elected twice. Why wouldn't y'all protest that? Oh no, a black got elected. All of our efforts to subdue their progress have failed. They didn't question the Barack Obama election. I think they wanted to make sure something like that never happened again. Because if racism is in the heart of some of those January 6th protesters because the wrong white guy won, then why wouldn't they protest the U.S. Capitol when Barack Obama won, at least the second time? Why wouldn't they question the election? Why wouldn't they say, oh, it was fake? If a black person wins the presidency, they must have cheated. Don't you find that odd that they didn't protest? Because also Barack Obama would have had the U.S. military out there and would have laid them all down. I know he would have. Barack Obama would not have taken the same stance that Donald Trump did. No, we don't need metal detectors. They're here for me. Let them build a noose, a gallows for the vice president of the United States. That was so crazy to me. But it was based on a lie, based on manipulation, but also based on the discomfort that the Trump administration and their associated state-controlled media outlets, Fox News in particular, the way it indoctrinated people to think that the world was going to end because, pedophile Joe Biden was getting elected, and look who ended up being a pedophile. You know what else is really fascinating? All of the horrible things that they have said about black men, that we are overly sexual, that we are going to sexualize and sleep with children, and that we are going to sexually assault white women. It was actually the Republicans and the conservatives the whole time. They were the ones that were doing, and they had a whole multi-billion-dollar international organization to sexually assault and traffic children. But isn't that crazy how it was always us, and we had to bear the brunt of that generalization and that stereotype that black men were the real sexual predators when it was them the entire time. In fact, the ones that did the best job of demonizing us are the ones that were guilty of the crime. And then the only person that's in jail for the Epstein files still to this day is a woman named Ghislaine Maxwell. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for Hour 3.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on March 31st.
Curio sends it deep to left, and there she goes!
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Tampa Bay Rays.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh my goodness, third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Delta Dental of Wisconsin. Tune in March 31st at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris talk to NBA play-by-play announcer Michael Grady. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Want to protect our planet? The air we breathe, water we drink, and land we share? Real progress begins with birds. Yes, birds. The very ones we see and hear every day. On a walk, in the park, or simply out the window. That's because birds are more than birds. They're symbols, sentinels that reveal the health of our planet and our people. And by helping them thrive, all of us thrive as well. Audubon is a place where birds matter, where habitats are protected, where communities are engaged, and where change takes flight. Because at Audubon, hope begins with birds. Progress begins with birds. It all begins with birds. Audubon.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available, because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Truth Nation, stand up and tap in. This is 101.7 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined by D. Kemp, one of our good friends from Axe Housing, talking about the process, how you can get started. You might be closer to being a homeowner than you think. So we'll have some conversation about what you need to do, how you can get started, and learn more about owning your own home so you don't have to rent from Barada anymore, because I know you guys don't like that. People even made up songs about how bad it is renting from Barada. They hate it. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. Have you traveled lately? Has anybody gone to the airport? I've heard mixed things. Depends on where you're going. Depends on what airport you're flying out of or into. Lines have been very long, or sometimes they're very, very short. It depends on how many TSA workers have shown up to work. I guess 500 or so have quit. That's the latest number that we have been given. In the grand scheme of things, it's like tens of thousands of TSA workers. But here's what's crazy. They're blaming the workers on the long lines. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to break it down just so people have a better understanding. So I've got a little bit of traveling I need to do this summer, and I typically would book well in advance, but I can't. I'm nervous to book because if I book and TSA is still, if they haven't figured out the funding by the time I need to start traveling, which is in June, then I'm probably better off driving, and I don't know if some of the flights I need to book would be fully refundable. And here's, you know what's worse for me? This is a Sherwin thing. Maybe your experience may vary. So I don't like long TSA lines. I haven't really been in many. I think the longest I've ever waited when I flew out of Vegas when did I go to Vegas where it was a long line? 2021. 22. No, I went to Vegas in 2020. Well, that time, I've been to Vegas since then. That was the longest I'd ever waited in a security line, flying out of Vegas, coming home after my weekend. And it was still 30 minutes. What's worse for me is waiting on the tarmac. Damn, I hate it. You're sitting there. You just sit there. That's the worst, where you have to wait. I've never had to wait more than 45 minutes. But when I think about it, 45 minutes is... yeah, that's 500 miles you could have flown in that 45 minutes that you're just waiting for. Just sitting there on the tarmac, sitting next to a weird person. I got to sit on the aisle. I can't sit in the middle. Why would you ever do that? If I don't have an aisle seat, I got to book another airline. And a window seat, nope. When I was a kid... yay, look at all the stuff out there. I don't care. It all looks the same. Yay, the window. What if you got to go to the bathroom? I don't like walking over people. But if I'm on the aisle, no big deal. I just turn my legs. And everybody's very polite. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. I'm on the aisle. I just turn my legs. But then if I got to go to the bathroom, I'm on the aisle. Sometimes I just go to the bathroom just to stretch my legs and just hang out and admire myself in the mirror. Can't sit on the interior. I can't, and especially if you're holed up on the tarmac and you're waiting to take off and the pilot, ladies and gentlemen, looks like it's going to be about another 45 or so minute wait. We're going to update you as soon as we have more information about when we can get you on your way. Looks like we'll be cruising at about 36,000 feet. Going to expect a little turbulence, but we're going to try and steer clear of a little weather that we might see as we're approaching Orlando. We'll keep you updated. Thank you. They all sound the same, don't they? I think because a lot of them are ex-military and they have that cadence. Hey, it's your captain speaking, Captain Hughes. If you hear Captain Hughes and you see me in the cockpit, run. Hey, everybody, I'm your pilot. And somebody would yell, he's a DEI pilot. Absolutely. If I end up being a pilot of American Airlines or Delta, that's because they needed a black person. What the Democrats want and why they are not agreeing to the funding measure. So Department of Homeland Security is all of it. It's ICE, it's Homeland Security investigators, and it's the TSA. So the Department of Homeland Security is a gigantic blanket organization. Keeping in mind that ICE got an additional $75 billion to execute their operations. In fact, ICE has received more money in this current Trump budget allocation than several branches of the U.S. military. Here's the problem. They're doing no-knock warrants. They're snatching people up from churches and schools. Like, there are people that are getting snatched up in hospitals. There are people that are getting snatched up because they might even have a legitimate reason to be here. Let's say they got a speeding ticket. They have a visa, so they do have a legitimate reason to be here. But ICE agents are going and getting folks, from their hearings when they're going to court for speeding tickets. And here's what the Democrats want. The Democrats are like, you need a warrant and you need real information and real credible evidence before you go and detain somebody and try and deport them. The Trump administration is saying no. So the Democrats are like, okay, well, we're going to pause funding until you can agree to just follow the Constitution with how you detain people. And the Democrats are actually giving examples of people that were detained and that died in custody, people that were actual American citizens that had their documentation on them. And the Democrats are like, you've got to stop doing that, and we will agree to vote for the funding. And the Trump administration say, no, we still want to be able to detain people with no probable cause, no credible information and evidence, and we want to be able to do no-knock warrants. And the Democrats are like, we're not going to fund Homeland Security. And here's what the Republicans are doing. They are sacrificing, because they still want to be able to racially profile, basically. They're sacrificing your time and holding you hostage at an airport. Isn't that wild? They don't care that there are people that need to get on flights because they got a dying relative that they got to fly across the country to see, and they got to get there as quickly as possible, and they will be stuck in that airport in a TSA line, and the relative they are going to see is passing away while they're waiting to get on that flight. And the Republicans know that they're doing it. Basically, they are holding the American traveler hostage in order to be able to racially profile. And if you take away racial profiling from this incarnation of Donald Trump Republicans, then they will hold you hostage at an airport forever. That's exactly what they are doing. Fund DHS without ICE. Democrats have repeatedly proposed funding all DHS, Department of Homeland Security components, including TSA, while excluding ICE from new appropriations during negotiations. This includes, FEMA. So I hope we don't have any big national disasters, big hurricanes. When does that season start? Because FEMA is not funded. The Coast Guard is not funded. Counterterrorism agencies are not funded. Because the Democrats are like, look, we'll give you all of the money for those agencies. Just stop violating the law and the Constitution, and you can get all the money. And like, no, we still want to be able to violate the law and the Constitution. And so that's why there's an impasse. Mike Johnson and the Republicans in the House of Representatives just sent a bill to the Senate over the weekend that asks for all of the money that Trump is seeking to continue these. And the thing about some of these raids, it can catch up me or anybody else, because they don't even need credible information or evidence that somebody's in the country illegally. They're just going and getting people. And the Democrats are like, don't do that anymore. And the Republicans are like, shut up. We want to be able to snatch up anybody. And the Democrats are like, then we're not going to agree to funding. And the Republicans are like, okay, well, then no one is going to be able to fly until you allow us to racially profile people and break into people's houses and just snatch them out of the bedrooms in their underwear. If they snatch me up, I hope they at least allow me to get dressed. I want to brush my teeth and find a nice pair of comfortable shoes. We have Sherwin Hughes, are you in here? No. We hear ya. And they break my door down. Democrats have repeatedly proposed funding all DHS components, including TSA, while excluding ICE from new appropriations during negotiations. The rationale. ICE has already received $75 billion in funding, reducing urgency for immediate new funding. So the Democrats want to extract ICE out because they got it. That's a lot of money. But they want to change the rules of engagement to where, you know, these ICE agents aren't just shooting people. And that makes sense. And so the Democrats aren't going to approve or vote for the 60 threshold vote that they need for this bill in the Senate until they agree to change how they are executing some of these detainments. Like, you know, not making them wear a mask, because that's the part that is perplexing to me. Because I could dress up in an ICE outfit. I'm not an ICE person. I could cover my face, put on one of those vests that says HSI on the back, wear a bunch of camouflage, and just go and snatch up your wife. You're coming with me, lady. And since you don't know who I am because they don't have to identify themselves, the Democrats see that as a problem. Because I bet you there's people somewhere thinking, like, I'm going to dress up as an ICE person and just snatch up a Mexican. Don't do that. I don't think Mexicans came here to do harm. I know when I go to Solito Lindo and have those delicious enchiladas they have, I don't feel harmed. I mean, my waistline is harmed. Maybe that's what it is. The Mexicans are coming here with all of this delicious food culture, and they're trying to make Americans fat so we die of obesity. Is that the conspiracy? Because I tell you what, if I had to narrow it down to 3 ethnic foods only, ooh, this would be a toughie. Chinese food. Gotta have it. Gotta have the Chinese. There's so much on the menu. So Chinese food, yes. I love Indian food. It's so good. I like Greek food, though, too. But if I had... What? You don't like a good gyro?
That's the only thing.
That's all you need.
That doesn't count if you're only choosing one.
Baklava, spanakopita, that Athenian chicken? Stop it. And then I gotta go with Mexican food. You gotta have it. You have to have. What would happen to all the food trucks? Imagine seeing a high-speed chase where ICE is trying to arrest somebody who's operating a food truck and a food truck just takes off. All those delicious tacos and burritos inside. And I would encourage them. I would say to the food truck driver, hey, dude, I think ICE is coming. Oh yeah, they're coming right now? I was like, yep, can you just hurry up and make my taco? And then boom, you need to just hit it, dog. You need to just do a high-speed chase. Don't let ICE. And they could just drive the whole food. They would just, you could see a Mexican food truck just driving. The menus all on the side of the truck. And just leave people alone. Just don't mess with them. You know what I mean? You're upsetting everybody. So I have a guest coming in at 11:15, and I got 2 telephone calls that I need to take. So let's take the telephone calls, because if I answer your calls while my guest from Axe Housing is here, y'all are going to take me all the way left. So first, let's start with, hello, Al. How are you doing today? What's on your mind?
I think what we should do, anybody who works for ICE, you should make it so they can never get a job ever again. And also, if you are a Republican, you're with hate, you should take a stand and say, I am a racist, I am a Republican. If I get sick, let me die. If it's catastrophic, let me die. Because in 2026, we're not doing a snake and dog mentality. We're going to let you rot like you're in an abandoned toilet in a house for 300 days plus. So we should not help you, welcome you, save you, nurse you back to health because you are a racist. So we should let you die and rot like a body engulfing maggot sitting 6 feet in the grave, okay? This is not about hate. This is about principle and standard. If you are a racist, we should not save you, help you, stop you from getting up by 10 dogs and 20 pigs. You're going to take that biting and fighting, and we should let you F and die because you feel being racist is okay, and it's about principle. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That made a ton of sense to me. Linda, you're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning to all the beautiful black and white people of Milwaukee and America. I am so proud of America and the power of the people this weekend, Sherwin.
Did you get out there, Linda? Did you protest No Kings?
I was out there, Sherwin. But because, I couldn't walk earlier this month. This month was something for me. But I just want to give a shout out and say, I did early voting with Souls to the Polls. I rode with them. I wanted to get, all hyped up for the blue wave in Wisconsin. So right. I'm really hoping that, we make a blue tsunami in this state. And I really wish Evers would not retire, to tell you the truth, because I'm looking at these Republicans in a different way now after Trump. I really hope that they come to their good senses once Trump is gone. And I don't believe he's going to do his whole term, because I believe that the blue wave is going to be such that they can get rid of him and his whole administration and restore some sanity to this country and the facilities or institutions that was funded by the government, such as, those places, those organizations that you talked about earlier that, combat racial inequities in the job, gender inequities in the job. All of that is for a reason, and it brings harmony to the diversity in this country. This country cannot escape diversity. It cannot escape immigration. You know what I'm saying? We are a garden of different flowers that comes, that has different roots. And so we have to learn how to live together in harmony with respect to each other's diversity and culture. Good God Almighty. Anyway, I'm concerned also about where it's going and how the energy is from the White House to the outhouse. It's contaminating weak-minded people to be, outside of themselves and do crazy things like these young people doing at the malls. They wouldn't do that if it was more civility in the air. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like this trickle down, corruption is contaminating the weak minds of our teens, and so it's contagious. But I'm just really, really concerned. Like I told my neighbor just now, we need to organize and be proactive. Call the police if we suspect something suspicious. Black people don't do that. White people known to do that.
Oh, yes,
and I think we need to adopt it.
I'm about to call the police on you right now, Linda, because you won't even take a breath, and I got to take a break, and I got to guess. So Don't make me call the police.
Bye-bye.
Okay, then, because I'll call them. Talking about black people don't call the police. Oh, yes, we do, but when we do, we whisper. Hey, 911. Yes, be in our house. Nobody else is at home. Hey, 911. It's a little disturbance over here. What seems to be the emergency? It's a bunch of blacks. Is this Sherwin Hughes? Shh. Yes, just send the squad. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back with my friend D. Kemp from Axe Housing.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I travel all around the world, Dr. Ken, and when I tell you, based on my experiences, this is like the number one country that cares. Like, everything is about money.
Yep.
Everything.
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
I've told people in the past, you have to be careful of what you complain about and what you use as a tool, because other people will take it and use it in the wrong way.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 1017 The Truth.
The baked potato just became the main event. At Loaded Spud, we take comfort food and turn it into something bold. Fresh baked potatoes piled high with creative toppings like buffalo chicken, steak and cheese, and classic loaded favorites, all made fresh and built to satisfy. Big flavor, generous portions, no shortcuts. It's fast, affordable, and proudly local. Loaded Spud, Milwaukee's most unexpected comfort food. Stop in today at 789 North Water Street or visit online at www.letsgetloaded.online.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
After a crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. At Gruber Law Offices, we have the knowledge and experience to make sure you're protected. And we're here to help whenever you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Prizes, exclusive experiences, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting truthcontests.com. That's truthcontests.com.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome back to the program. I'm so happy to have Dee Kemp, who is the Vice President of Impact at Axe Housing. Welcome back to the program, Dee. How are you?
Great. Always good to see you, Sherwin.
Likewise. You know what? I should have asked you what kind of walk-up music you want. Next time you come here, I'm going to give you your own walk-up music. We got good news for people starting in a couple of days. April is Financial Literacy Month.
Correct.
What should people know about Financial Literacy Month? And you're going to tell us about an event that is taking place in April.
Yes. So Financial Literacy Month, think of it as I'm going to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. It's about knowing about your own economy, about your own finances, about your own credit, so that you're positioned to achieve the things that you want to achieve financially, whether that's home ownership or starting a business, whatever that is. Everybody needs to be financially literate.
I know Axe Housing you specialize in a number of things, but helping people get financially ready. You guys have coaches that can work with potential homeowners, on an individual basis. What is the biggest question that people have about this complicated realm of their own personal economy? Is it their misunderstanding of credit, of how to, budget? Like, what is the biggest issue that you see when folks are coming to you needing help with their finances?
I think everybody begins with the end in mind. And we're all American. We all want everything right now. So the biggest question people come in with is, how long is this going to take me? And really, that comes down to you and how driven you are and how committed you are to the process. There's a reason that we call our coaches. You know me, I love sports, so I speak in sports analogy a lot. But I don't know if people have ever noticed, coaches don't get in the game. Coaches make sure that you're eating right, practicing, making sure that you're in a space where you can perform at your best. And that's the same thing that our coaches do, but we do it as related to your finances so that you are positioned for that day that you decide, you know what? I think I'm ready for a home. You don't have to do a whole bunch of work to get yourself there. You know that you're credit ready. And you have the education that you need to understand how the process works, and you can begin. Too often people come in and they haven't done that evaluation of their own situation. So that's where we have to start. And we're going to give you an action plan. We're going to give you a roadmap that says, based on your specific situation, these are the next steps that you need to take. And we're going to keep checking up on you to make sure that you can get yourself through that process and assist where we need to, up until the point that we get you to a place where you can be pre-approved for a mortgage.
Dee, do you think the rising, like an unexplained rise in rent, is a reason that some people are now choosing the option of home ownership? Because a lot of folks, they don't want the burden and the responsibility of owning a home. No, I can't stand when I hear people say, but Sherwin, I'm going to have to shovel my own snow. Really? That's what's keeping you out of owning a home? But they have all these buts. But is the rising cost of rent almost helping you guys get more folks that are at least inquiring about home ownership? Because we've seen rents rise every single year for at least the last 5 or 6 years. So is that a reason that some folks are coming to you?
Absolutely. And I think, too, that you give yourself all these excuses. We love talking ourselves out of our blessings. And you say all the things that you just said to yourself.
I don't want to cut the grass.
I don't know
The
how
yard
to fix
is 3 by 3 inches.
all this stuff. But listen, okay, think of it as, I don't want to deal with the burden of my rent going up every year at least $100. Because that's what's been happening the past 5 or 6 years. And I always like to tell people, too, think of, okay, I'm paying $2,000 a month for rent. Right now, with where interest rates are and all that good stuff, that's about $500 for every $50,000. So if you're spending $2,000 a month on rent, you could buy a $200,000 house. If you're spending $1,500 on rent, you could buy a $150,000 house. And guess what? You live in a market where you can find a great property at those prices.
No, that's true.
A lot of us don't live in those markets. That math doesn't math on the East Coast or the West Coast. But here in the Midwest, home ownership is actually very affordable. And when done correctly, you're going to be paying less than what you're paying for rent if you so desire.
You guys have a virtual orientation that people can sign up for and they can participate, in that virtual orientation online. What does it involve? What are the steps in the virtual orientation? So if somebody signs up for it, what are they going to be exposed to?
If you go to our website, which is axhousing.org, that's ACTS housing.org, you can do our virtual orientation at any time, and it's really going to introduce you to our programs. Like you talked about earlier, we do a lot of different things, from preparing you to get mortgage ready. We actually issue non-traditional mortgages. We are a development organization as well and have houses that you can look at within our own portfolio in addition to what's out in the market. So it's really going to walk you through all the ways ACTS can help you get through the home ownership process. Allows you to sign up for our program. You'll pay for your credit report, which is the same credit report that banks look at to see if they're going to give you a loan or not. And we work from there with you to get yourself credit ready.
I know these incentives, they may vary from year to year or depending on funding. Are there still incentives for first-time home buyers, down payment assistance, those kinds of things?
Absolutely. If y'all didn't know, it is the year of housing as declared by our mayor. So I have seen both the city and the county direct funding to things like down payment assistance and to things like the land trust to make sure that we have a diversity of home ownership options that are affordable for folks. So, it's the year of housing for me every year. This is what I do. But when the mayor has declared this the year of housing for the people of Milwaukee, it's time to take advantage. That means that there are resources, that there are programs, that there are people and organizations who are backing him up on that promise and doing our best to make sure that home ownership is a dream that you can realize if it's what you want.
Being that April is Financial Literacy Month, there's an event that is taking place at Thrive On, correct?
Yes, I'm super excited about it. It's going to be on April 25th at Thrive On. It's called From Finances to Front Door. So everything you need to understand about your finances, all the way to getting yourself into that home and getting those keys in your hand. You're going to have all the professionals there who work with people both to get them ready and through the process. So real estate agents, home inspectors, The whole gamut will be there. So it's going to be a great family event. It's open to the public. There's no registration. They're going to have food trucks. So it should be nice and festive as well. But encouraging everybody who's thinking about home ownership, that's definitely going to be the event of the month over there at Thrive On, from finances to front door.
Do you have a date and a time for finances, the front door?
That is going to be April 25th from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Thrive On.
So here's what y'all do. You listen to my show till 11.
There you go.
Okay, even though I want you here till noon. That's fine. You're going to go to Thrive On at 11 o'clock, and then you can get all the information, all the resources from Thrive On about getting your finances in place. Dee, it's a pleasure. Our time goes so quickly.
It does. I want to thank you, too, because I know that this time that we spend together makes a difference. Thank you for sharing Sam's story with me, who was a truth listener, who turned around, took your advice, came to Axe, and closed on his home last summer. So that's what it's all about. Let's keep doing that work together.
Amen to that. And shout out to Sam, because that was a phone call I wasn't going to take. I just randomly happened to answer the phone, and he gave us that beautiful story that more people can and should have in common with Sam, because that is all we're trying to do, get more folks like him to own homes.
Yep, and Sam, and now his baby girl is flipping around his house.
Look at that.
And that's what he wanted. He wanted space for his baby girl.
Dee Kemp, the Vice President of Impact for Axe Housing, always a pleasure. We'll talk very soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. Good seeing you, babe.
Likewise. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Fritsch, president of the Center for Veterans Issues, inviting you to get involved in supporting the CVI mission. The Center for Veterans Issues is proud to serve veterans across Wisconsin. Each year, we help more than 1,200 veterans stay housed, find meaningful employment, and connect with the support they've earned. From housing assistance and job training to case management and suicide prevention outreach, our team is here to help veterans build stable, independent lives. If you're a veteran in need of support, visit cvivet.org. Donations can also be accepted at cvivet.org/donate.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with Black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
Dad's going to be far side, good.
What should I do with my dress?
Do little wiggles. The slate's coming in.
What does it feel like when you're down or having a bad day?
It feels sad, like you just don't want to do anything.
All my little emotions in my head is just running crazy. I don't know what to do.
As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed supporting kids' mental health?
I had never experienced players being so down that they can't even participate.
You're just in tears in the huddle. I didn't know what to do.
Teachers need tons of help.
Kids Mental Health Foundation offers educational materials to help guide conversations with our students.
It's so important that we are constantly educating ourselves.
It's the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation has free tools and information developed by experts, because kids' mental health starts with all of us. Scan the QR code or check out kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org to get started.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Some ominous music. I got a question for you guys. Would you all be interested in This is rare for me. I never ask y'all about segments because I don't want to give you the opportunity to say no if you don't like my idea. But I'm going to give you an opportunity to say no, hopefully, yes. Do you guys want updates on our involvement in the conflict that is taking place over in the Middle East? Should I dedicate segments? Xavier says, yeah, you don't count.
Why don't I count?
Because you got to produce the show no matter what I'm talking about. I know you get mad sometimes. You know what, Sherwin? You need to participate in these socialist activities. Maybe I will.
You need to, man. There's a turning. I mean, Trump is going to push us so right that we're going to swing left. I mean, it's only natural.
But those pendulum swings always end up in disaster. I would say that some things happen on the left where moderate voters and independent voters, they want to get so far away from the Democratic Party. And Democrats can narrow it down to they forced the transgender issue further than transgender voters could have impacted an election. And they doubled down on it. And, one of the reasons why African-American men voted in the highest number ever for Donald Trump in this most recent election is why we were seeing so many transgender athlete commercials. They spent $30 million just to advertise to black men about transgender athletes, and it worked. And the Democrats kind of got lost in the forest with that one issue. Basically, you say, look, if a particular district with athletes or a high school wants to do stuff, then you let it be a local issue. Democrats nationalize that issue when they shouldn't have because there were more important things to deal with. And so the left got pigeonholed and defined by the right. And when you define the Democratic Party, all that it is, all the different moving parts and all the different constituency groups by we want to give more welfare to lazy people and we want to let girls have to compete against boys, then there are some people that said, I don't want to have anything to do with the Democratic Party, and the whole country swung way to the right. If the entire country swings way to the left, that's going to be just as poisonous because an executive that represents a fringe, and I would argue that Donald Trump does, just like a Democratic socialist does, and because more people may agree with Bernie Sanders doesn't mean that he is less of a fringe. People just like his version of fringe. But it's about working with Congress. If a Democratic socialist gets elected president or someone who is like a Mom Donnie or someone like a Francesca Hong, who we are trying to get on the program this upcoming Friday, if they get elected because the country is so fed up with everything on the right, and I hear the frustration with Republicans. All you got to do is listen to one phone call from Al. If it was up to Al, Republicans would get beaten and tortured. But there aren't enough Democratic socialists in the legislature to create and support legislation that a Democratic socialist executive would sign into law. So what would happen is everything that the legislature would come up with wouldn't go far enough. It doesn't provide enough funding. It doesn't go far enough. It doesn't help enough people. It doesn't deregulate the utilities enough. It doesn't harm private industry enough. It doesn't break up enough corporate monopolies, and therefore they wouldn't sign anything. And that's why we have to be practical, because for a significant period of time, practical legislation has not been signed. Most of the federal government is just boring stuff. It's just stuff that keeps the funding flowing. It makes the federal government just appear this apparition in the background. We should not constantly be aware of what the president is doing. The president needs to just make sure that we're safe and the parks have money and there's no lines at the airport and you can get money to repair a federal highway. You get pothole money and you get money from the Department of Education for more IEPs for MPS students. It just should make sure that states have everything they need to operate seamlessly. That's how it's supposed to be, but it's not like that. Because the executive is so incredibly extreme that if it doesn't go far enough, he won't sign it. Trump said he's not signing anything. I actually liked when he said this. If the SAVE Act, which is every single person who's registered to vote is no longer registered to vote, you'd have to re-register to vote and then prove that you're an American citizen. This would be a burden for married women, because if your birth certificate or whatever your citizenship documents are, if your name is different on those documents, it will be a problem for you. Trump said he's not going to sign anything into law. I think he has rescinded that divulsion. Because in a Republican-controlled House of Representatives and a Republican-controlled U.S. Senate, Trump not signing any legislation that was created by his own party actually benefits all of us. So he said that, and then he realized it was a big mistake, because that means that Donald Trump would not be signing Republican legislation into law. And the rest of us were like, good! Finally! We're losing the war, and what is disappointing to me is, so the Pentagon has their own, there's a press corps that covers the U.S. military and the Pentagon, and they are stationed there, and they have been stationed there. Do you know that Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration removed independent journalism from the Pentagon, and the only individuals that are allowed to cover the Pentagon, the U.S. Department of War, are right-wing conservative social media influencers and podcasters. I am not making this up. So independent journalists, we've come to find out they've been locked out of the Pentagon since the fall of last year, since October, November of last year. They are not able to cover the Pentagon. Only people that are sycophantic for Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are allowed to give us information. Now, there are other nations that are covering the war because they have an objective responsibility to cover what is happening, especially when it comes to things like the Strait of Hormuz closing. 13 U.S. Marines are being held hostage right now, and your government is not telling you that because they got captured at Karg Island. The ones that were injured were taken to an Iranian hospital. The rest have been held hostage. At least 13 U.S. service members have been killed. The USS Gerald Ford, when I say it is the crown jewel, the tip of the spear of the American military, it is the largest class of aircraft carriers that we have. It is the most significant nuclear-powered war machine the United States has ever produced. It was bombed and taken out of commission. It is now off the coast of India getting repaired. They bombed the largest aircraft carrier that we have and took it out of commission. Now, here's what the Pentagon told you, just to let you know how your news is being sanitized. They said there was a fire in the laundry room, and they had to decommission the largest, most significant piece of American military equipment we have ever produced. The USS Gerald Ford got chased out of the Persian Gulf by these Iranians, and the Iranians are still using their cheap missiles. They are bankrupting the U.S. taxpayers, and they're not communicating any of this. We come to find out over the weekend, Donald Trump said he's bored of the war. He's bored. He wants to move on. He doesn't want to do it anymore because we are losing, and we are losing, to quote Donald Trump himself, bigly. According to the Wall Street Journal, the early weeks of the ongoing U.S.-Iranian conflict have inflicted billions of dollars in U.S. military losses. The report detailed, the Wall Street Journal, by the way, which is as conservative a publication as you're going to find. Oh, they hate Trump right now because he's messing up the money. What you mean oil tankers can't get through? We speculate on oil. We bet on, for, and against the price of a barrel of oil. You're messing up the flow of money, Donald. Even when I watch CNBC, which is, when I get home from work, first thing I do is I give my lunch ready. I give them my lunch. I sit down at my dining room table. Do y'all eat at the dining room table, or am I the only one that does that? I don't. Somebody come over to my house. Oh, Sherwin, can we eat in the living room? No! You can't eat in the living room. What are you, an animal? I got a whole dining room table. You eat at the dining room. What are you doing? So I get home. I get my little lunch together. I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch today. I just got my groceries delivered because I do the Amazon grocery shop. I like it because they bring it to your house. I had one guy bring my groceries, made me feel a little uncomfortable because he was like, wait a minute. I said, yeah. He said, Sherwin Hughes? I said, yeah, that's right, that's me. He's like, oh, Sherwin, I listen to your show every day. I'm like, oh, thank you. But I'm thinking to myself, yeah, now you know where I live. And now you know what I order. Check this out. I was at the Metro Market on Friday, the one in Wauwatosa. 69th and State Street. That's where I go. I want to pick up a little something, pick up a rotisserie chicken. Can't go wrong with a rotisserie chicken. They got $7.99 rotisserie chickens at the Metro Market. So I get to the Metro Market, and I see your brother there. And it's only one rotisserie chicken left. And when they run out of rotisserie chickens, you ain't getting no more rotisserie chickens for like an hour. So here's the thing. He grabs it. It's the only one left. And I see it from a distance. I'm like, damn, please don't get it. Because he grabbed it and he looked at it. And then he set it down. I was like, okay, bet. I'm finna go get this rotisserie chicken. And then he picked it up again. I was like, damn. And then that dude that grabbed the last rotisserie chicken, guess what he said? Wait a minute. Sherwin, I listen at you every single day. I listen to your show. I'm thinking to myself, N-word, if you don't put that damn rotisserie chicken back so I can buy the rotisserie chicken, I want that rotisserie. I didn't say that to him. I was real gracious. I was real nice to him. I was like, oh, man, I don't want to call him the N-word. He was a very nice guy because he didn't know that I was eyeing that rotisserie chicken because he was messing with me. He picked it up. He looked at the price because it was the last one. Sometimes you don't want the last rotisserie chicken, but on Friday I was going to take the last rotisserie chicken, but he took it. And he happened to be someone listening to the show. So shout out to you, brother. He was actually really nice. He was like, Sherwin, I know you don't like people coming up to you, which I've said before because sometimes people are weird. If you just say, what's up? Hey, how you doing? I always take a little bit of time. But a lot of times I'm busy. I got to get somewhere. Some folks want to sit and talk about a whole radio show when I see them in public. I can't do that. But if you just want to say what's up, I really appreciate that. And thank all of you for listening, especially those of you that I run into in public. But I was looking at the chicken the whole time. I wasn't looking at him. I wanted that chicken because he picked it up, put it back down, picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down. I was there and so I had to go get, what else did I don't even know what I got. I was so mad. He took the last chicken. But just my luck, one of my listeners of my program took the last rotisserie chicken. All right, I'm going to take a commercial break now. Give you guys some more war updates. We're losing the war, by the way. And ground troops are on the way, and it's going to be considered a suicide mission because they're going to bring ground troops to a country of 90 million people surrounded by mountains. What could go wrong besides everything? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on March 31st.
Curio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Tampa Bay Rays.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness, third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Delta Dental of Wisconsin. Tune in March 31st at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee or check your local listings to watch the game.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Are you planning a special event? Do you need a personal chef? Either way, make it tasteful. I'm Alicia the Chef, owner of Tasteful Events Catering, and we create customized food experiences for any occasion. We bring quality, flavor, and professionalism to every table. Whether it's a special event or everyday meal solutions, we focus on delivering more than just food. We create experiences. Book today or learn more online at www.tastefuleventscatering.com.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. This is a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals and plates are piled high with flavor, and lakefront sunrises set the stage for unforgettable days. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring. See, it's a place that welcomes you with open arms, where joy is shared through bites of food, beats from our favorite DJs, and cheers from our incredible sports teams. Come on, Bucks, get it together. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by our friends over at Visit Milwaukee. And also, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that the Tory Low Community Cleanup is coming up. It's that time of year again for the cleanup. Mark your calendars for Saturday, April 18th from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. as we will be cleaning up the city of Milwaukee. Again, that is the Tory Low Community Cleanup, Saturday, April 18th from 8 a.m. until noon. Bring the whole family to clean up the city. Bring some of them teens. Instead of going to Bayshore Mall, maybe they should come and help clean up the city. The Troy Low Community Cleanup is sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, Steinhafels, Cousin Subs, and Waste Management. Speaking of waste management, we are just wasting so much money on this war. According to the Wall Street Journal, the early weeks of the ongoing U.S.-Iranian conflict have inflicted billions of dollars in military losses. The report details several incidents, including a downed F-15 and F-35 jets, a mid-air collision between a KC-135 refueling aircraft that killed 6 crew members, and multiple drones destroyed. Iranian strikes have also targeted radar and support systems at bases across Saudi Arabia. In fact, there was a base that was destroyed over the weekend that killed 10. They said injured, they're dead. Air support systems and bases in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Jordan. At sea, the USS Gerald R. Ford experienced, quote, a fire and is undergoing repairs in Greece. I said India, it's in Greece. It ran. You got to understand the symbolism of this. This is an aircraft carrier that when it shows up, countries cower and immediately want to negotiate. Our most significant piece of wartime apparatus, that and there's this plane called the AWAC, the radar plane with the big circle on it. It's $1 billion plane. They blew one of those out of the sky. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We can't even defend our military equipment. We can't defend American bases anymore. You got to wonder why that is. Our defense systems are null and void, and they sent the USS Gerald Ford out of the region because they bombed it, and they're going to tell the American people, and I don't blame them for telling the American people this, because there's a number of people in this country, a double-digit percentage of people that will believe anything the Trump administration says. Anything. Literally anything. Trump is repeating the same talking point narrative that he is in talks and in negotiation, but he hasn't said when, where, over the phone, in person. He hasn't said there's a scheduled meeting somewhere. He's not going to the Middle East. He said, we're engaging in talks and they're going well. At the same time, we know that ground forces are on their way. You don't engage in talks and send troops at the same time. And the Iranian government, which of course has been thoroughly discredited by all Western media, is like, dude ain't talked to none of us. We have said that we're not negotiating until the United States pays back all of the money that it's going to take for all the damage that it has caused, and it pulls out every single American troop from every military base in the Middle East. And until we do that, they're not negotiating or talking to anybody. So he's just repeatedly lying to people. And the negotiations are going very well. He's not talking to anybody. And also, if you think about it from a practical perspective, if a nation that started a war with you wants to talk about terms of ending the war, would you engage in conversation with them on ending the war while they are communicating they're sending more troops to your house? Of course you wouldn't, but only certain Americans would believe such nonsense. There's no end in sight, and I think they know. So it is March 30th, 2026. By June 1st, Pete Hegseth will no longer be the Secretary of Defense. Mark my words. I said it today. Let's mark it again. March 30th, 2026, Sherwin said, Pete Hegseth will no longer be the Secretary of Defense by June 1st. Trump is making him the fall guy and will get rid of him. You just watch. At sea, the USS Gerald R. Ford experienced a fire and is undergoing repairs in Greece. In response, the Pentagon is preparing a $200 billion supplemental spending request to replace damaged systems and maintain operational readiness, according to the report. And that is just to repair the things that have been damaged, because some of the armaments that we are using are missile defense systems which have failed. If you can't protect an American military base, that means that they have penetrated our defense systems. And this $200 billion doesn't even account for the additional offensive munitions that we will need. It is going to bleed us dry. But, you know, maybe it'll work out. There's a second video that's been put out by the Iranian Defense Ministry, and I'm not going to tell you where to find it, but go try and look for it. It names all of the different racially oppressed minorities in America, and Iran is telling us, those that are from racially oppressed groups, that the war is actually for us. Something to think about. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.
Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway.